This guy realizes he has become USM, an insanely powerful space monster. USM is a formless being based on a creature from the movie Alien X, a species that continuously accumulates power through the genetic information, unidentified or also known as USM. So this is the result. He thinks he should blame himself for being too obsessed with Alien, and it seems he's in the process of molting. He couldn't have imagined it would be this itchy tonight. After molting, he decides to find some food. After all, he's about to starve to death anyway. He arrives at an area and looks at the equipment. This place probably belongs to a megacorporation or an interstellar ship, and in an instant, visions and images begin to appear. Finally, USM finds the location. He jumps up with all his might. The interesting part here is the security code. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4. What a tough password. And just like that, USM successfully gets inside. He snags a few cakes and chews on them. It's like chewing on a rag. But at least I got some nutrients. Then he hears the rustling of cockroaches behind him. Well, running into me is just your bad luck. USM takes out his sharp pincer. He stabs it straight into the cockroach, and it's so juicy. A system notification appears. Predation effect activated, wing gene code successfully absorbed. Extracting wing trait from cockroach species. Apply wings. USM exclaims in surprise. So my luck in getting a gene code came this quickly. The gene code is the core that shapes one's form. The more gene codes USM has, the higher it can evolve. Wings Y divided by N. After selecting it, he feels pretty good. It's alright. But he doesn't know how to use them. The wings are on his back, so I guess I need to activate my trapezius muscles. USM starts to concentrate and finally succeeds. Just like that, he flies up into the air, and his mouth is still chewing on those rag-like cakes. This energy replenishment is more wonderful than he thought. He thinks he might as well target a few more cockroaches. To master using these wings, USM needs to acquire another skill, and the first objective is complete. They taste almost like burnt pancakes. The system appears. Unidentified ferocious spatial form, USM status newborn. Turns out the guy was just equipped with a chitin exoskeleton as well. And it will increase his defense capability, depending on his growth level, to hunt prey with the robust trait, but none have appeared yet. That's a positive trait found in insects and plants. With it, USM will no longer be dependent on food. In short, he has to catch a mountain of cockroaches to survive. The guy decides to change locations. Ever since getting these wings, life has been much more convenient. No more high jumps. At this rate, I'm also a form. He swoops in and grabs them tightly. Well then, time to say goodbye to a few more snacks. He flies at super speed, but damn it, the cockroach managed to crawl into a narrow corner. And so another cockroach bites the dust. The system announces predation effect activated. Robust gene code successfully acquired, extracting robust trait from cockroach species. The humans on this ship are USM's enemies. He can feel vibrations through the wall. Doesn't have much time left to avoid a bleak future. He needs to evolve past the newborn stage as quickly as possible. Everything starts now. Now is the time. USM escapes the chamber and takes his first steps. The guy is confused, not knowing where to go after this. In fact, USM's destination has already been set. USM uses the ventilation fan to get inside. Wow, that's scary. He was about to press the switch when he had a thought. If he destroys the fan, the AI system will definitely alert the humans. So USM has no choice but to fly through it. Focus on the gap between the fan blades. Aim for a fixed point. After analyzing the data, USM's brain tells him he needs to jump right now. It's now or never. The guy clenches up and goes for it. He flies straight through the ventilation fan. After successfully getting inside, he's panting heavily, his heart pounding. Oh, thank goodness I'm still alive. I'm alive and okay, let's get going. As he was on his way, he comes across a spider. Luckily, he doesn't bump into it. He finally reaches his destination. USM starts to eavesdrop. They are discussing the results of Test 026. The test results failed again. The team leader is going to chew us out for sure. Let's take a break today. USM guesses there was a routine ship patrol. Judging by the design, this must be a megacorporation ship. A megacorporation is a federation of the super rich throughout the solar system. In short, they are simply humans from Earth. But among them, the megacorporation leans towards being an evil alliance. If this is what they do in the game, then reality is even worse. USM decides to just observe things for today. After learning about the ship, he might change his course of action. He can train to get a sturdy body and combat skills. But if this is a research center, experimenting on psychic abilities and alien creatures, then USM could learn psychic powers. Suddenly, the guy hears loud cries for help, and it sounds like someone is in great pain. Getting closer, he discovers it's an amoeba. Its trait is oxygen storage, the most useful trait for a creature. Now, USM will use his super sense to find a way to cut the power. Is this the research those two mentioned earlier? There it is. From what I can see, pressing this button will stop the experiment. After it's stopped, the amoeba continuously thanks him. The scowling woman asks exactly when test 026 will show results. The man panicked and worriedly explains that a reaction is definitely happening. Turns to glare at him annoyed, saying that time is a debt. If you can't produce results, the company will reconsider your employment. Hearing this, the man could only gulp nervously. I'm begging you. Anything but that. This man is researcher Adway. The woman continued, of course, I don't want that to happen. I have great faith in a senior researcher like you. If you can show your capabilities with test project 026, then the head researcher position is guaranteed, and if all goes well, we can work with the Mars division. They are very interested in this project. Adway stammers and asks about adding selonium. The girl replied, it's a stimulant from the Lienha faction, one we've never tested before. The only thing left is selonium. The girl decides to shut down the machine immediately. But Adway stopped her, saying it would be very dangerous if the neutralizer was not absorbed. Adway gritted his teeth and reluctantly proceeded. I will start with 0.01 milligrams, then 0.03 milligrams, 0.05 milligrams. There is a reaction. Next, 0.07 milligrams. The girl suddenly changed her mind. Wait, let's observe the reaction. We can increase the dosage, put it all in. Adway hesitated again. But she refused to wait any longer, told the old man to step aside and press the system button herself. The transformation process continued, and the amoeba was in excruciating pain. It kept begging them to stop and crying for help, while USM watched on, completely stunned. Through monitoring, the girl felt the results were quite good. In fact, they were excellent. So she ordered a few more experiments. Report all significant results to me. Adway could only obey meekly. Her expression was truly terrifying. And she was always scrutinizing everything. USM broke out in a sweat and started to struggle internally. That thing is crying out to me for help. It's so frustrating, constantly trying to lead me astray. A blue liquid sprayed from his mouth. Alright, it's done. The substance spread along the corridors has made my movement much smoother. Today is the 4th day. USM's nest is now complete. He catches cockroaches and spiders for food, while monitoring his targets and gathering intel. Based on his observations, she leaves at this exact time every day. Her name is Kisaragi Jujin, but she is the most important person here, and a direct threat to USM's survival. It caused chaos among the researchers, but she built a tracking device in just 2 hours, and successfully recaptured the subject. If that subject had escaped through the vents, USM would have been in danger as well. He has to kill her as soon as possible to ensure his survival. Her sharp intuition told her someone was staring intently at her. Luckily for USM, he hid just in time. Kisaragi Jujin is unusually sensitive compared to normal people. It seems she possesses psychic abilities. Psychic abilities include powers such as telepathy and empathy. However, occasionally a few humans are born with innate psychic abilities. This means she is constantly on high alert. USM chewed on a cracker to fuel his thoughts. As he pondered how to deal with Kisaragi Jujin, the system displayed a notification. The taste of these things is almost like burnt pancakes. Unidentified aggressive spatial lifeform USM. Traits: supersense wings, strong, chitinous exoskeleton, new paralytic venom. He had just acquired the paralytic venom trait, which was perfect for his weak body. A single drop can knock an adult unconscious, but the effect only lasts for 5 minutes. To use the venom, he has to face his target one-on-one. But that is difficult since she is always surrounded by soldiers. Just thinking about it will not solve anything. Wanting to act fast, USM decided to scout the lab himself, cracker in hand. The amoeba was still crying for help. You look better than yesterday. I brought you some food. He broke the cracker into crumbs and dropped them into the tray for the amoeba. After eating it, regained some energy, became more alert, and even commented that it was delicious. In the bubble game, the amoeba had no special abilities unless this one was unique or had mutated. Suddenly, USM remembered that Kisaragi Jujin kept a pet cat. If the cat dies, would not its owner show a weakness? Besides, unlike Kisaragi, the cat is always alone in her room unless she calls for it. USM decided to use the cat to lure her out. After some investigation, he learned the cat's name is Katsa. It truly lived like royalty, just lying around and enjoying itself. Killing her right away would be difficult, as she is always under surveillance, and he could not do it here. They were connected to a laser grid. A single light touch would trigger the AI's alarm system, and it would be activated instantly. USM was now stuck here, and it was a real pain. The cat detected the noise and immediately rushed towards the ventilation grill. What a heart-stopping moment. The cat kept scratching at the ventilation grill. It set off an alarm, and the soldiers detected an intruder. They rushed to the scene, but after discovering it was just a cat scratching, they paid it no mind. Ugh, just the cat again. Just leave it alone. USM considered himself lucky once more. I cannot believe I made such a mistake using my tail to draw attention. What was I thinking? Wait a second, the cat seems bored. USM recalled the cat's excitement over his tail, and the soldier's reaction, and it seemed he had realized something. He had actually found a way. The cat was lazing on its cushion, but it kept one eye half open staring at the ventilation fan. It climbed up again and saw a cockroach inside. The cat pushed the grill aside once more. The alarm system blared loudly. The soldiers looked at each other, wondering what was going on now. It is probably the cat. We can check on it later. But what if the cat gets out? We are on watch. The cat crept through the ventilation duct. Every few feet, it found another dead cockroach. The trail of dead cockroaches grew, luring it further in. USM stabbed his proboscis straight into the cat's back, making it scream in agony. USM was amazed at how incredibly delicious it was. The more he ate, the more he wanted. Meanwhile, Kisaragi Jujin was frantically searching for Katsa. She was extremely panicked and worried, her face dark as she stormed up to the captain. "Captain, when will I see Katsa again?" The captain replied that his soldiers were still searching, so she should just wait a little longer. Kisaragi Jujin lost her composure. She slammed her hand on the table, yelling, "It has been 2 hours already. My Katsa is very strict about her mealtimes. Something must have happened." The captain calmly folded his hands and said, "Head researcher, let me say this again. This is a spaceship. Unless someone kidnapped your cat and escaped on a rescue pod, it has to be somewhere on this vessel." Kisaragi Jujin shrieked frantically. "That is exactly why I told you to find her immediately." The captain was getting fed up with Kisaragi Jujin, making such a scene over a mere cat. If she were not from the capital's noble class, he would have already thrown her in the brig. Kisaragi Jujin continued her tirade. "What about those guards?" The captain looked her straight in the eye and replied, "They have all been detained. Legal proceedings will begin once we arrive," but Kisaragi Jujin demanded they be executed immediately. "You have the authority to carry out sentences, Captain, do you not? Use your power now." Hearing this, he thought she was going too far. Executing them for this will demoralize the soldiers. Hearing the captain's apparent disregard for Katsa, Kisaragi Jujin became even more unhinged. Seeing her like this intimidated everyone. The captain reluctantly continued to explain, "I mean, let's let the search make some more progress first. It's better if we discuss the punishment then. I don't mean anything else." Kisaragi Jujin still snapped back. "Captain, it seems you've forgotten. This whole thing happened because the guards didn't fulfill their duty." Seeing her in this state, the captain feared her even more. He didn't even dare to look her in the eye and just stammered, "I understand all of your concerns, Captain. I understand everything. I'll use this incident to tighten military discipline." Kisaragi Jujin suddenly felt a throbbing headache and decided to leave. "But if there are no positive results by then, you'd better resign as captain." He was extremely annoyed. "Damn it, where the hell is that cat?" UASM watched with glee. "Where is it? In my stomach, of course. By the way, what exactly is this wild instinct trait anyway?" The trait fusion system, a system that allows the combination of traits, related to each other, to become a more powerful trait. He had memorized all the fusion formulas in the game, and that was why. When the notification window appeared while he was eating the cat, the wild instinct trait can be fused with the supersense trait. Wild instinct has fused with supersense, evolving into predator's instinct. You can sense threats based on the information you have. Tip: great hunters always know how to predict the future. UASM tried to activate it to sense danger, but even though his supersense ability had become much stronger, the future prediction effect couldn't be activated. This is likely a passive auto-activating trait. It's not working because he hasn't encountered any threats yet. UASM decided to study it later. For now, he would go see what Kisaragi Jujin was up to. She could no longer control her actions and emotions. Damn it, the stabilization process is taking too long. Just like Kisaragi Jujin, when her beloved possession was taken away, she would immediately become distraught. And UASM had also achieved his second objective. That was to drive a wedge between Kisaragi Jujin and the soldiers. It started with the guards disliking the cat. They had to watch piles of fresh, delicious meat, something they couldn't even taste themselves, being used as the cat's food 3 times a day. It was only natural for this to make them resentful. More accurately, it was class resentment. From the soldiers' point of view, they were suffering an unreasonable injustice. In other words, the cat was acting as a buffer. So what would happen if that buffer disappeared, and they had to waste their time searching for something they utterly despised? Even Kisaragi Jujin herself no longer trusted the soldiers. To her, the negligence of the guards was the main reason her pet went missing. The more he thought about it, the more pleased UASM felt. He had the cat to thank, even though it was now resting peacefully in his stomach. She was still going crazy, mashing buttons furiously. It seemed she was taking out her anger on all the creatures in the lab, and she wore a smile, cried for help. Kisaragi Jujin glanced back, gagged him, and then left. Amit saw UASM peeking from behind the vent grate and even looked up to greet him. UASM thought that there was no need for conversation between them. Instead of offering words of comfort, he would give them what they truly needed, and that was proper revenge. 2 hours had passed, and Kisaragi Zujin went to the captain's room. So what are the results? At this point, the captain could do nothing but explain. We've only just begun the search. Please wait a little longer. Are you challenging a capital noble? Samodu broke into a sweat but tried to remain firm. I am the captain of this ship, captain. Watch your language. Kisaragi Zujin yelled at the captain. I can have you removed from your post anytime I want. He bluntly declared. Even a capital noble cannot overstep their authority. I have the authority to detain you, captain. Kisaragi Zujin found it ridiculous. When she questioned him again, the captain affirmed he had the right to detain anyone causing a disturbance. Kisaragi Zujin looked more and more like a demon. It seemed the situation was getting interesting. It looked like they had a bad relationship to begin with. Kisaragi Zujin just turned and left. Without a word, she stopped in front of the restroom door and said she'd be back later. Seeing this, the soldiers also took a break. One of them took this chance to go to the bathroom. UASM saw this as an opportunity. Usually a guard would follow her inside, but it seemed he'd had enough stress for one day, so she was left all alone in the women's restroom. These were the perfect conditions for an ambush. UASM continued to observe Kisaragi's actions. While Kisaragi Zujin was washing her face, UASM decided to break through the vent grate on the wall. He then used his proboscis to shoot straight at her. As Kisaragi Zujin looked up with a sigh, she was struck. UASM then leaped up using his proboscis to stab her in the head. Using his mouth, he bit straight into her back, causing Kisaragi Zujin to cry out in pain and collapse, hitting her face on the tiled floor. Her expression began to change. Before him was a monster with blood-red eyes. UASM wondered, I wonder how she's feeling right now. Fear of the alien creature before her? Anger at this situation? Or the fear of death? Well, it doesn't matter anyway. At this point, so what if Kisaragi Zujin dies? Well, then goodbye forever. UASM took a huge bite, finally swallowing her whole, letting her be with her precious cat. UASM could clearly feel her blood flowing inside him. The moment the genetic information from her blood traveled from his blood vessels to his brain, he felt it. The missing piece for UASM's potential had fallen into place. UASM immediately chose yes. Images of soldiers began to flash through his mind. He was confused, wondering what that was just now. Maybe that's the predator's instinct. Is this how it works? If the predator's instinct is right, the guards will be here soon. Should I run? No, there's no time. UASM decided to crawl up the wall, slithering along the bloodstain. He decided to confront the guards right here. Just then the guard walked in and froze when he saw Kisaragi's body, Zujin lying on the floor. His hands and feet began to tremble uncontrollably. He couldn't comprehend what was happening. While he was distracted, UASM lunged, biting straight through his armor and sending blood splattering everywhere. And just like that, the guard died on his feet in the restroom. UASM wondered when his partner would be back. He had to act fast. They might have some method of tracking him. He had to take a detour back to the nest to ensure his safety. The moment he returned, USM felt that the surroundings were completely safe and began the evolution process. Sticky and constantly melting. How strange. If I had memories from my infancy, it would probably feel just like this. The feeling of transforming into a completely different entity. The solution was turning me into something alien. I really wanted to open my eyes to see it for myself, but I couldn't. The moment I entered the cocoon, I lost all control of my body. USM had done everything he could, now he just had to wait patiently. Finally, the evolution process was complete, and he broke out of the cocoon. Looking at his limbs, teeth, and entire body, he had become larger than ever before. The medical team identified the cause of Kisaragi Zujin's death through preliminary examination results. The research team leader determined the death was caused by an attack to the neck. This part looks like it was caused by a small saw. They need to examine it more closely to be certain. He clutched his face, sighed, and said, I don't know. He turned to the security team leader and asked about the progress of the suspect's search. They reported that they had checked all the security cameras on the ship, but there was nothing unusual. The main suspect, a guard, is currently being interrogated. They suspect the guard is the culprit, however. From the information they've gathered, it seems he's not the one. Somozu looked extremely exhausted. Report back as soon as you have results. Also, you all know what happened in the lab recently, don't you? One of the potential talents had his brain removed while still alive for disobeying the Pliams.com's research team leader, and is now floating in a tube. As soon as he said that, everyone felt a chill, their faces filled with panic. The navigation team leader suggested they could blame this on a lab accident. But the medical team leader immediately objected. Think before you speak, navigation team leader. There were many researchers present. How could we possibly get away with that lie? The engineering team leader then excitedly shared his idea. What about this? She died from food poisoning. They continued to throw out ideas and argue with each other. They were squabbling so much it looked like they were about to kill each other. The risk management team leader saw this, slammed the table, and looking extremely annoyed, shouted for everyone to be quiet. Conflict will only make things more complicated. Captain, we are currently near planet C8. C8 is the territory of the space dogs. Somozu asked. You mean it was those bastards? The risk management team leader replied, correct. We were distracted by the attack, so we didn't realize it sooner. The space dogs are a cunning group that roams the galaxy, attacking and plundering. They are the sworn enemies of Megacorp. They are veterans of many field battles. Even veteran ships have been defeated by them. A research vessel, like ours, would suffer even more severe damage. Accidents can easily happen in those situations. Somozu thought the plan wasn't bad, but their weaponry was no match for the space dogs. The risk management team leader stood up abruptly. I know some people, I'll contact them. Somozu never expected this guy to have connections with pirates. He asked the risk management team leader how much it would cost. The answer was at least 100 million. Credits. Kisaragi Jujin was a being that even the space dogs were wary of. They're taking a risk too, so that's a very reasonable price. Besides, there are no better options. Somozu decided to entrust this matter to the risk management team leader. And with that, the meeting was over. The medical team leader asked what they would do with the body, until the space dogs arrived to take it. No one is allowed to touch the body. USM had just finished his upgrade, so this is the larval stage. And he was feeling so refreshed. I'm a larva now, so I should probably change my strategy. My current strategy is to avoid the enemy's sight. But now, it's about survival and hunting. Now that I've survived, it's time for the next step. What should my goal be? The system displayed an information panel. Race, unidentified space morph. USM. State, larva. Immense vitality, paralyzing venom, hardened exoskeleton, acidic blood. One successful evolution means USM has become a larva. An Amoth has 6 stages, meaning there are 5 stages of evolution. Hatching, becoming a larva, then a pupa, followed by the pre-adult stage, adult, and finally, evolution. Reaching the final evolution is considered a successful survival. Survival in space. In other words, it's like the ending of the game. When an Amoth reaches its final stage in the game, all the secrets of its origin are revealed, where they come from and what they are. But in reality, very few achieve it. The problem is that reaching the ending is extremely difficult. Only about 20 people, including USM, have ever seen the game's ending. Now I remember, the larval stage can unlock a specialization type. It seems I'm heading towards the physical enhancement type. The system announced, no types available to unlock. Do you want to view special types? USM was a bit curious, and it was just as he thought. I'm close to unlocking the physical enhancement type. The system announced there are currently only 2 special types. This was all thanks to the hardened exoskeleton and acidic blood traits he acquired as a larva. When the conditions are met, a type is unlocked, and related abilities receive bonus points. But what about this 0.5? 1 point is from Predator's intuition. USM didn't have any other traits like that. Suddenly, he remembered Kisaragi Jujin. She was the only corpse he hadn't completely consumed. I need to consume her mental power. I have to find her body. USM headed back the way he came. But he was bigger now, so the pipe felt too small. And something felt off. The morgue, a place of final rest, was right below USM. A young man was on guard duty there. He smelled a foul stench. Following it, he discovered a puddle of slime. It was like an acidic liquid that had corroded a section of the wall. Where did it leak from? The man decided to call for security. Taking this opportunity, USM shot out his pincer and impaled the man. Just like that, he successfully broke into the morgue. He was determined to find Kisaragi Jujin's body. Because she was a noble, even after death, her body was kept intact. They were forbidden from touching her corpse. I can actually slaughter humans so mercilessly without feeling an ounce of guilt. Could it be that since becoming an Amoth, I've turned into a depraved monster? Anyway, overthinking won't solve anything. For now, I'll eat this corpse to survive. I must continue to kill. This is the life of an Amoth. It's something I have to adapt to. After all, a body just rots after death. It becomes a source of nourishment for nature anyway. So isn't it natural for me to use them to nourish myself? Or is it? He finally consumed the entire corpse. However, he discovered something inside Kisaragi Jujin's heart. USM guessed she had a heart condition. His information panel began to change. As expected, Kisaragi Jujin has a mental attribute, predation effect. Activated, acquired the neural organ gene. Taken the human neural organ attribute. I don't know if I can even use a neural organ yet, I keep getting things related to it. And Amoff can use mental power without a neural organ. So for USM, this is completely useless. Well, I'll just try to be optimistic. Anyway, I need to fill up the attributes to unlock the species type. My whole body is starting to transform. So this is an Amoff's neural organ, how interesting, who knows, maybe like the predation instinct. It might happen to fuse with another attribute and become useful. It feels like chewing on intestines. The guards have changed shifts. They don't seem to have much reinforced armor on this ship. The person approaching is wearing the uniform of the one USM just killed. This pharmacist will probably be relieved when the next shift arrives. They will notice something unusual in this room. After all, this is the space age. To fight an all-out battle with the entire crew, I need to buy some time until I'm stronger. Suddenly, USM noticed some smoke on the floor. Come to think of it, this is a morgue. There are preservatives and chemicals for handling corpses here. But there is a place they call their capital, and that is Earth, the current headquarters of Megacorp. The Jujin clan started as just a small business in a country. Every inch of that nation is Jujin territory with small aircraft and maglev trains. An artificial sun for the global ecosystem, the Jujin people and their tens of millions of servants. They all live here, on this massive compound. A cheerful-looking old man was tilling the soil. He gently called the men in black over to him. They began to report on the matter of Kisaragi Jujin. The old man's face darkened and grew cold. Yes, Kisaragi Jujin was his third daughter. After that cold expression, his face brightened again. Yes, Kisaragi Jujin, what about her? He sighed. Impossible. I didn't assign Kisaragi Jujin any difficult missions, the man in glasses explained. The last signal was received near C8. Investigations show it's the territory of the Space Hounds. The boss said nothing and just sighed. He put a hand on the man's shoulder, then punched him, splattering blood everywhere. He killed him so casually, his resentment was so great, that he grabbed the shovel and repeatedly struck the man who delivered the news. After venting his anger, he ordered his men to clean up the body. I don't need my tools answering questions nobody asked. You know what's most important for us is that a tool is just a tool, right? The remaining men made a promise to themselves after this. He said that the cost of raising Kisaragi was 10 billion. Credits the price of a new model warship. I hadn't even performed her gene enhancement yet. How dare those pirates touch her? Who had the nerve to harm the jewel of the Jujin clan? The captain of the ship Kisaragi Jujin was Samuel Yu. Right, the Samuel clan is close to the Titans. Those Edgerton bastards must be very interested. But I'm sure they weren't behind it. The Edgerton leader is a coward. He doesn't have the guts to turn on the Jujin clan. He then turned to ask the white-haired man for his opinion. The man standing beside him replied, yes, I suspect TNC is involved. They seem to conflict over the rule of Jupiter, but they're actually in collusion. Because Edward's credits come from TNC, that snake probably wants to seize control, before the council meeting. You think so too, don't you? The CEO position, which is your position, Master. The CEO rested his hand on his chin and added, that's right, that bastard is clearly targeting me. I have a shadow guard near C8, contact him and handle it. There's bound to be bloodshed this time. The CEO wants Samuel Yu and everyone involved with that ship. Back in the present on the spaceship, the captain looked at the scene trembling and stammering. What is this situation? You said there was smoke inside when you went to check. Did you see a fire? The soldier replied. Yes, sir, I wanted to check what was going on, but only the doctor is allowed inside. I don't understand why there was a fire. Looking at this ring, it seems he was a crew member working overtime. The medical team leader's face suddenly went pale with absolute terror. He told the captain to gather all the team leaders immediately. They were shocked to learn that the bodies of the guard and the research team leader were missing. Samuel Yu yelled, how is that possible? Corpses can't just walk away. Medical team leader. Are you sure about this? The medical team leader insisted that he had already checked. I double-checked. There are only 2 missing bodies, and I am certain of it. Not only that, but judging by the chemicals in the morgue, a fire could have started, but that's highly unlikely. In other words, this was arson. They suspected it might be an unidentified alien creature on board the ship. Hearing this, the head of equipment management became agitated, calling it completely absurd. The research team leader's missing body. We have to deal with the pirates at C8, so we must find that body at all costs. First, we need to find the culprit. Samuel Yu panicked and grew frustrated. Damn it, it's not my fault. If you're so worried about retaliation, then cooperate properly. Administration, team leader, risk management will contact them right after this meeting ends. So the captain reminded him not to mention any of this and to tell them that we will transfer the body as promised. Even if we find it, if we can't sort this out, it'll be a problem. We just need to find the body before the rendezvous. Find the culprit no matter what it takes. Your best efforts so far aren't good enough. If you have to investigate every crew member, just find the culprit. I'm giving you full authority to handle this. From above, USM heard everything. So far, everything was going according to his plan. There was a way to hide his identity and confuse the enemy. Use fire. Who would have guessed that mixing chemicals in the morgue could start a fire, and not an alien? After creating a highly toxic substance, by mixing chemicals, USM completed the concoction with a few drops of his acid blood. But he hadn't expected them to mention aliens. It was a convenient coincidence that scared them. It seems the risk management team leader has gone on ahead. I'll deal with him later. In that case, he might be colluding with the pirates. Pirates are a diverse bunch, so USM, it could collect a lot of different genes. However, the amount he could get from this ship, then I'll have to carefully evaluate it. Right now, USM is watching a fat guy who's spacing out. He's the head of the equipment management team, the one who strongly denied USM's existence. What does he have to do with this? Why is he acting like that? USM felt that something was off. He's the head of the equipment management team, so he should just be able to walk in openly. Why is he being so cautious? It had a fingerprint lock, making its security higher than the others. The walls were so thick that even USM's super senses couldn't see through them. Thanks to him, USM's curiosity was piqued. Initially, he only planned to target the head of the medical team, but now he's changed his mind. His next target is him. He's felt completely insignificant these past few days. He's feeling very depressed. Because he believed those brokers, he was lured by their words. They said they got it from an ancient ruin. I snatched it up immediately, thinking I could sell it. Everything was going smoothly until I secretly transported those eggs on the day of the deal, and one of them hatched the day after. The equipment team leader wished he had closed the door properly that day. It's truly sad. But now he can't complain to anyone. If the captain finds out, he'll go crazy and execute me. He continued to drink so much that even the bartender got annoyed. Walking back completely drunk, he kept muttering nonsense. What did I do wrong? How did things turn out like this? As he was walking, he was startled by a sound behind him. But when he looked back, it was just pitch-black darkness. Damn it. Such bad luck. He looked back again, and a tentacle was rushing towards him, sobering him up instantly. Motherfucker, this damn alcohol. Shit, I'm dead. USM revealed himself, baring his sharp teeth as if preparing to eat him alive. It made him scream bloody murder and look terrified. And so, USM ate him. Another life was gone. After a full meal, USM snuck into the equipment team leader's room. His daily routine was very simple, so it was easy to replace him. But the captain should thank me for getting rid of those who you should clean up once in a while. It's filthy. USM was now looking for the ID card and didn't know where it was. While rummaging around, he saw a picture of a super sexy girl on the wall. But the young man felt nothing at all. She's hot though. But maybe because of my current form, I'm numb to it. As USM continued to rummage, the ID card fell out of a notebook. I finally found it. Thanks to the equipment team leader's leftover hand, USM tried to eat the rest of the corpse, but the strong smell of alcohol on him made him lose his appetite. Then USM went to the warehouse to swipe the card and get inside. He also used the equipment team leader's hand to scan the fingerprint. The door successfully opened. Now, the sweet secret lies here. The young man was extremely excited. Looking inside, he saw a freezer. It seemed the equipment team leader was a smuggler. Could it be the egg I came out of? That team leader tried to smuggle me out. In the game, Amos's starting point wasn't a spaceship, but an unidentified ruin. USM didn't know what happened during the transit, but it seems that after hatching, the original creature escaped from the container and died not long after from malnutrition. And then, it was controlled by USM's consciousness. That's why he found cockroaches delicious. It was his body's survival instinct. For some reason, he felt confused and stood still for a minute. Then the young man started taking all the Amos eggs to eat. The first Amos to hatch will eat the other eggs. There are still plenty of other things to eat. USM looked for other things. And now, with just 2 more traits, it will be time for physical enhancement. The young man felt a bit disappointed after eating Kisaragi. Instead of mental power, that can only be obtained mid-game or late game. With the most effective traits for killing, the crew, he could act more ferociously from now on. The Spacehounds meeting isn't far off. He has to become as strong as possible, because I don't know how dangerous they'll be. Just you wait for me. Time to move. No one in this universe can hear you scream in space. The pitiful cries of this research ship and its crew will be completely buried in the dark abyss. At the Megacorp research ship's landing bay, it's time to eat. But Scott was still fiddling with something. It seems he was doing repairs. I don't get these maintenance orders. Why are they making us check the fighter jets? But Scott continued. I heard they're preparing to fight the metal gremlins. Fisher looked worried. Because if we run into the metal gremlins, we're dead for sure. Scott informed him that the truth is, the gremlins are already on the ship. You know that strange smell in the air lately? That's the smell of the metal gremlins. Plus, a friend in the kitchen told me that 1 or 2 people have gone missing since last week. Fisher seemed unconvinced, thinking it was nonsense. Just then, a guy with glasses chimed in. I heard about it too. The missing team leader was from the supply management team, so the cargo hold manager was promoted to team leader. But why are the higher-ups keeping quiet? The guy with glasses thought they were hiding it to keep the crew from panicking, while Scott believed it was all because of the gremlin. What does their aggression have to do with fighter maintenance? They've only heard that people have disappeared. After talking for a while, Fisher picked up his food tray and left, turning back to call Scott an idiot. Scott was still in repair mode when someone invited him for a late-night snack, but he refused. However, he asked them to buy him a bottle of synthetic water. Damn it, will I even be able to finish this today? While he was concentrating, a voice that sounded like Cameron called out to Scott, making him extremely annoyed. I'm clearly focused on my work, and he's bothering me. If it's not important, I'm gonna punch him. Scott went outside but saw no one. A voice still echoed from a doorway. Over here, hurry up, the voice guided Scott. And Scott wondered why the lights weren't on. The voice told Scott to come closer and help him. Scott found it really annoying, but he still turned on his flashlight to go inside and smelled a strong, rotten odor, like iron but something else. Tripped on a nail and fell hard onto the floor. It was only then that he felt something was wrong. Even with the flashlight on, it was still very dark. So what was Cameron doing here in the dark like this? The missing team leader was from the supply management team, so the cargo hold manager was promoted to team leader. Since last week, 1 or 2 people have disappeared. It's all because of that metal gremlin. Scott started to turn his head back, calling for Cameron. USM, standing behind him, kept calling Scott's name. Just like that, USM acquired the rather useful mimicry skill. After a while, Fisher returned. I brought you the juice you asked for. Huh? Where'd he go? Finger thought to himself, he's never left in the middle of work before. A voice came through. I'm in the repair area. Why are you in the repair area again? The voice, which sounded like Scott's, replied that he needed to find something. Seriously, what are you trying to do? Scott replied. I need to rearrange a few things. Help me out, Finger. He sighed wearily. This is unbelievable. Hey, what did you do? Why is this here? Drops of blood started falling on him from above. Startled, he asked, what is this? Blood? Why is it blood? Accompanied by a bone-chilling voice saying, over here. With a scream, Finger died on the spot. After eating Finger, USM gloated. Maybe I have a talent for fishing. As expected, shape-shifting is so convenient. We're larvae of a creature called the red worm. The red worm is a type of giant desert worm that only lives on planets with desert surfaces, the harshest environments. It seems they have evolved in a way that is advantageous for hunting other species. Eating these red worm larvae will grant me their gene fragments. This is really great, but the downside is, the version it provides is a lower tier than the original. I'll eat a member of the cooking team. I think his name is Cameron, right? He doesn't seem very close to Scott, but whatever. It's a bit weird to keep calling it slime. From now on, I'll call it number 26. Maybe I'll pay it a visit before returning to the nest. As soon as I arrived, the slime's voice came through, hello. USM didn't think the telepathic organ could be used like this. I can communicate with other creatures through brainwaves. Hearing that, the slime replied, hello. So hungry today. Food. Its vocabulary had improved a lot since last time. Does the sodium have some effect I don't know about? USM replied. Zoo, sorry, Zoo, it's hard to bring food today. Hearing this, the slime asked, why hard? USM replied, ZZ cannot bring. USM thought, I don't understand why it's so disappointed. But that passage is very dangerous now after the search team leader went missing. The security chief has increased the security level. That's why I haven't been able to bring it food for several days. All I can do now is just talk to it. USM thought, damn, I have to try harder. If I evolve to the pupa stage, I'll be able to help it. But the problem is, the condition to evolve into a pupa is extremely strict. To evolve, I need to kill and absorb 10 members from 2 different intelligent species. There are no space pirates here either, but I don't know much about them. At that moment, the risk management department manager was speaking. Who is he talking to? Yes, it's still proceeding as we discussed. The orders to move to the lower part of the base? Ah no, how could I dare question them? The ship will arrive at C8, as planned, and all of Captain Samuel's orders have been recorded. USM wondered what was going on. The risk management team leader was still talking. Yes, everything is fine. The important thing now is to monitor the base. No Captain Yung Woo Jung will handle that. I am happy to take on this mission. USM thought that guy was just rude, but he's actually a cunning old fox. He seems to be instigating the captain, but from that conversation, I can tell he's plotting something. I'll have to see if it benefits or harms me. The captain is going berserk again. Protect the command team. You can't even do that one simple thing? How many times have you apologized now? We only encountered that bastard 2 days ago, and there's still been no progress. Samuel screamed, "Damn it, ship manager, how many people have gone missing on this ship now?" According to the latest update, including the supply department manager, 7 people have gone missing since the head of the research department died. That bastard to screw with me? The ship manager could only deny it. Samuel sighed, "Damn it." The ship manager claimed that what the security chief said was true. The captain flew into a rage. "What did you say?" "And I can prove that the security chief has really done his best. So there's no excuse," the other man replied. "I can explain that. By human standards, a human cannot escape when surrounded on a scale as large as this. Although the metal gremlin is just a rumor, the thing that attacked us might be an unidentified entity." USM felt the atmosphere change. "Look, it's the risk management department manager. This ship's AI once escaped from a warship. If there were any monster on board, it would be caught immediately. Even a civilian like me knows about the AIs. The freezers in the supply manager's warehouse were all empty. But the problem is, the AI knew something used to be in there. Up above, USM knew he had to be more careful." Samuel was fed up. "All right, let's stop talking about some crazy space monster lurking around." The man in blue replied, "There's still one place we haven't searched. The air ducts. The ship's entire duct system is 1 meter wide enough to move through." Everyone began to panic and whisper, "1 meter? Isn't that too small to kill a person?" Gremlin. Metal gremlins are only 80 centimeters tall, but they're strong enough to destroy a warship. He's a huge threat. The people below began to focus on the issue. If that's true, isn't it extremely dangerous? If it really ate the department head's body, we're all dead. We just need to capture it and hand it over to the Capitol Noble. Even if it's proven that the chief was eaten by it, they'll let us off the hook. But what about the space pirates? Then we'll be forced to fight the space pirates. To win a battle, our internal affairs must be under control to protect our people. Then our first priority is to deal with that monster first, asked the risk management manager. "How many soldiers do you need?" He replied, "I need a total of 6 out of 8 squads to check the air ducts." Samozu accepted his request. "Please bring back good news." USM has managed to survive for quite some time now. With Anand's personality, this confrontation was inevitable. And not only that, the ducts have been sealed off very tightly. All the hallways have cameras installed, and the air ducts are unusable. This is the moment to make a critical decision. Should I run or fight? Now USM remembers things from a human's perspective. A human can't escape when surrounded, and on such a large scale. The air ducts, the entire ship's air duct system, it's about 1 meter wide, enough to move through. To win a battle, the internal situation must be under control to protect the people, so our top priority is to deal with that monster first. Even without limbs and just a head, I am still an alien that can bite off my enemy's throat. I and Amorph will fight them. They plan to fight an Amorph in the ventilation ducts. In such unfavorable terrain with just a few elite soldiers, I'll teach them the price of their foolish arrogance. I will show them what hell in space truly is. He stopped thinking. USM began to execute its plan, creating a layer of acid with its hand. It spread out, melting a large hole. My super senses began analyzing every corner, the ship, its entire structure, and even the enemy's movements. Because I know what's happening inside the ship, just like its master. Captain Samuel EU and the team leader are regrouping on the ship. Anon will also be there commanding. USM has also detected the movement of armed soldiers. They are splitting into teams and heading in 2 directions. He sketched out a plan, then he will adjust the details based on the enemy's weapons and movements. Alright, time to greet the guests. The entire ship is busy conducting a search. This is A1, Team A commencing operation. This is Control, B1, report. This is B1, Team B commencing operation. B1, poor radio signal, check your comms. This is B1, roger that. Report any suspicious activity immediately. The risk management team leader thought to himself, that monster might have killed Kokosaragi, but he needs to eliminate as many variables as possible. There should be no delays before Si-Hyun arrives. He wants that monster dead today, along with the people monitoring the search. A1, there's a fork ahead, take the right path. B1, also a fork here, take the right. B3, poor radio signal. Stopping to fix comms, then proceeding. Roger that. Respond as soon as repairs are done. The risk management leader reminded everyone that the route is winding, so move with caution. The control room operator began giving directions. This is control. Proceed slowly and search continuously. Suddenly, the risk management leader flinched. He hurriedly turned to the operator and said, B3's camera isn't moving. Tell them to check it. B3, check camera status. This is control. B3, respond. After checking the camera status, everything is fine. B2, fall back to B3's position and proceed together. B2, roger that. Receiving the order, B2 immediately moved towards B3's location. A scream echoed from the radio, causing everyone outside the waiting. It's here, it's appeared. Hearing this, the man's face went pale. B3 has lost contact with B2. Report the situation. Intel suggests the monster took B2. They saw nothing on the camera, so the situation couldn't be confirmed. The risk management leader's face froze. He thought. He turned it off instantly. Even a skilled assassin couldn't do it that easily. I underestimated it, treating it like a dangerous wild animal. It's a much more agile killer than I thought. He stopped thinking. He immediately ordered the team leader to relay a message. All units, fire on any movement. Immediately, the comms officer began relaying that B3 will join B1 and search for B2. Yes, Captain, this is control. B3, cancel the search for B2 and join B1. B1 will begin searching for B2 after joining with B3. He thought, at this rate, we'll be targeted, one by one. At that moment, B3 immediately moved to B1's location. Can't be sure, but something's approaching. Can't confirm exact position due to the fork. B1. That's right, it's the sound of B3. I can hear B3's voice now. Control to B1. Report when you rendezvous with B3. Then, everyone froze upon receiving the message. B3 has been captured by the enemy. How can this be? At this point, the risk management team leader could no longer stand by. He rushed over and grabbed the radio. This is the team leader. Give me a detailed report. The other side reported that everything happened too fast to confirm. He started going crazy. You idiot. How could you not see it when it was right in front of you? He couldn't believe it, continuously scolding. How could you not notice when you were right next to each other? And neither B1 nor B3 are on camera. Unless you're deliberately avoiding filming the monster, the risk management team leader realized something else. He immediately grabbed the headset and put it on. This is the team leader. B1, state your name and rank. I repeat. B1, state your name and rank. Immediately, a sound came from the other side. Catch me? From inside the ventilation ducts, the screen suddenly shattered. Everyone present was momentarily speechless, staring at the screen. He continued to speak into the radio. This is A1. What's your exact situation? A1. Respond. USM was now making a plan. First, I'll deal with Team B and take a hint from number 6, with my own wavelength. Because of the wavelength I transmitted, the equipment of B3 was scrambled, and B3 had to split up to repair the equipment. After that, everything went smoothly. And eating this guy was quite tasty. Next is Team A. USM was checking their location, having just activated a skill. Now he could see through the ventilation ducts. There they are. On full alert, just as I predicted. It's natural, because Team B knew nothing about me and let their guard down. I guess this time I'll have to use their own information. There's a fork ahead on Team A's path. They'll pass through here soon. They say knowledge is power, but that might actually be true. Knowing too much can sometimes be a poison. Human voices. And if they heard a human voice, they were to open fire immediately. This information was relayed to A1. After hearing a cry for help in the distance, they received the order and immediately opened fire, thinking it was the enemy. After USM passed, they signaled each other to cease fire. This is control. We have confirmed the enemy's status. A1, understood. Meanwhile, A3 was panicking. Team A3 was in a state of crisis after receiving the warning that there was an enemy behind them. A1, A2, open fire now. Wait, don't shoot, it has captured Aba and is using him as a human shield. If we open fire now, he could get hurt, but the captain was still agitated as hell. Fire, I said fire, A1 fire, immediately, that's an order. Afterwards, A2 seconds team reported casualties. The captain ordered them not to retreat, and to capture the enemy at all costs. Aba was now severely injured, and they were using shock therapy on Aba, applying the treatment. A1 treated Aba, continue the mission, this is the control room request approved. Through observation, they determined that the monster also seemed to be injured. They didn't know what kind of monster this was. They started to follow it along the air ducts. However, the path ahead was too narrow, and they didn't know what to do, but A1 was still determined to go in. and asked for the captain's opinion. A1 requested permission to inject a strength enhancer to destroy. After using it, their eyes all turned a brilliant yellow. It'll take that rotten monster's life. I'm going in first. They used the corrosive sores on the pipes of the air ducts to locate the monster. A1 reported a large hole in the vent shaft. No sign of the enemy here, looks like it went down the corridor. The current location is near industrial area. C6 USM was actually injured and is still in that area. He immediately rushed towards the soldier, and a fierce battle broke out. Then he continued to flee along the pipelines. They were much stronger than USM had thought. Even with several shots of the enhancer drug, he still couldn't fight them off. USM thought he would have to change his plan. He could no longer use tricks to deceive them. He lurked and looked around to see if anyone was there, then rushed towards the injured soldier Aba. Aba was terrified and kept moaning as USM took out his proboscis. He pierced straight through Aba from behind, then ate him with relish. Just as planned, USM took a helmet from Aba, and it seemed that was enough. USM stomped on the camera on the helmet, and just like that, the camera lost its signal. Cracked open like this, the other side would realize Aba had been ambushed. The control room started reporting that Aba had been attacked by the monster. Hearing the noise, a soldier rushed over. "Hey Aba, are you okay? Answer me, damn it, he needs immediate medical treatment." But at that moment, a tendril shot out from Aba's body. The tendril aimed straight for the soldier's neck, making him writhe and sprawl on the ground. Another noise was heard, causing him to be stunned and turn his gaze back. The remaining soldier, his body covered in blood, stared at the sight before him. The soldier hastily tried to crawl away, but at that moment, USM's hand gripped his head and flung his helmet off. Knew that there were cameras not just in the air ducts. Now, how would his enemies react? They would fight with everything they had. USM knew well that this ship lacked high-end equipment, but the problem was their arsenal of weapons. If they used plasma weapons, USM would be in danger. Plasma weapons are heavy armaments used for combat spaceships. They are mainly used to attack warships and tanks with immense and terrifying destructive power. So one person cannot carry it alone. There is a lighter version, but it's quite expensive. However, looking at this ship's armory, it was questionable whether they had that type or not. USM continued to move, observing the soldiers constantly patrolling. They must think USM is preparing to capture them all anyway. This was a good opportunity for him. While the soldiers were gathered in one place, he would hunt down the department heads. Gradually, reducing the number of department heads would throw everything into chaos, and more importantly, he definitely had to kill the security chief, whose very existence had exposed USM's own. Down below, they were in chaos. The captain asked the head of incident management, "Where did that insane monster come from? More importantly, what the hell kind of monster is it? There is an unregistered life form. It is very likely that one. I even gave you the department head grade high-tier equipment. And this is the result." USM now understood, so that was department head level. In space, high-tier equipment is a lifeline, so people pour a lot of money into it. Cutting costs is the same as cutting lives, the risk management head asserted. If they had more advanced equipment, this disaster would not have happened. The enemy is an extremely intelligent and dangerous life form. Samaru still didn't consider that information. "We must rely on the scarce information we have. I have sent soldiers, but I want one more condition. That is to be allowed to use the plasma weapons in the armory." Hearing this, Somozu froze for 5 seconds. "We're not supposed to use that except against space pirates, risk management head. This is inside the ship, even though this ship was formerly a warship. But using that kind of weapon inside the ship is suicide. If you want to die, go outside and do it alone." USM initially wasn't sure if they had them or not, so now he was certain they did while the enemy was in disarray. He wanted this to be a chance to choke the enemy to death. USM's top target, Arnold, was far away. The person closest to USM right now was Researcher J, the one who tortured number 26 daily. USM decided to target him. He had planned to kill him one day, and now the time had come. USM immediately pried open the ventilation duct and lunged down from the ceiling, straight onto the researcher, biting him right in the face and finishing him off for good. The 2 remaining people in the room, no one could escape. USM in time. They died one after another. The control room made an urgent announcement. "Damn it, comms, make an announcement to the entire ship." All soldiers immediately before he could finish his sentence. USM shoved his proboscis into the man's mouth. In the control room now, only the security risk management team leader remained. USM had thought he would run, but unexpectedly, the handgun he was holding wasn't even enough to give USM an itch. Could he really have such strong conviction? USM began to approach him. "All right then. If you want to die this badly, then I will grant your wish." He froze, realizing that it wasn't an ordinary gun but a plasma pistol. Arnold stared defiantly at USM. "That's right. I recognize you. But you look promising, a versatile monster very much like my master." Anon's current confidence level was through the roof. He kept firing at USM. You will die. Nothing can interfere with my plans. Facing this gun, he felt his life was in grave danger. However, the situation could still change if he could take advantage of it, and he would be the one to win. As for Anand's master or his plans, he did not care about them, but the one who lives, the last survivor in this fight, must be USM bears, lions, and wolves are the carnivores I have known. They are considered typical predators that can make humans fearful, cautiously when facing something unfamiliar. Their nature is that of a predator. But they are very timid. Even I, now in the role of a top predator, also have hidden inner thoughts, regardless of whether the opponent is strong or weak. Say what you will. USM had to admit, this guy was a talented leader. Then he would wait for a chance to find his weakness. He might also have studied him quite carefully. About USM through samples and footage, he had guessed that he had senses and intelligence superior to a normal predator. Now it turned out, he was the one playing the role of a hunter threatening USM's life. The aura radiating from Arnold's body was that of a cunning and experienced hunter. USM could only find cover from the bullets, as Arnold kept firing relentlessly, seriously injuring him. Sir, do not forget we are inside the ship. Your reckless shooting could destroy important equipment. But he was still determined to kill USM first and talk later. He seems quite cunning. He started contacting the soldiers. I am the commander. I have spotted the monster in the control center, and I am engaging it, requesting all soldiers to converge on the central area immediately, and on the ship in this room, waiting for the soldiers to arrive in force. Only then would he get serious about killing USM. What a cunning and tough bastard. USM needed to do something, and fast, before the soldiers arrived. He started looking around to observe. Let's see what this fire extinguisher can do. He opened the fire extinguisher and sprayed it right at Anand, filling the room with smoke. Anand covered his nose. This stupid trick trying to blind me. Everyone around was now choking on the smoke, and could not see a thing. Arnold yelled, you idiots. Get together and draw your weapons. Be on guard. Suddenly, while they were panicking and scrambling, USM had already disappeared. He is gone, a soldier immediately warned. Damn it, Commander, where are you? Be careful, it might be targeting you. USM was startled and very surprised that he had guessed his intentions just like that. However, USM had other tricks up his sleeve. While the blonde guy was frantically searching for the commander, a voice came from in front of him. I am over here. Then the voice spoke up again. No, that is a fake. I am over here. The blonde guy was completely bewildered. As the commander's voice came from both front and back, Arnold was clear-headed enough to warn. Do not believe him. It is the monster mimicking my voice. The blonde guy immediately tried to run outside. The blonde guy held his gun, his limbs trembling uncontrollably. Just then, a familiar voice like the commander's rang out. Do not believe it. I am still alive over here. Anand warned again that it was mimicking the voice to trick everyone. That voice rang out again. I am the commander. Believe me, they were now in complete chaos because this monster was too smart. The disorienting voices continued to ring out. Shoot it, it is attacking me. Then he pulled the trigger. Unfortunately, he missed USM and hit Anand instead, injuring his entire arm. Damn it, which idiot shot that? Anand turned towards USM and fired repeatedly. There you are dead to me. Those shots once again severely injured USM. His upper fin seemed to be destroyed. He went straight for Anand's neck and bit it off, and so Arnold was permanently eliminated. Appeared before the blonde guy with Arnold's head in his mouth, making him scream and wet his pants in fear. At this point he was scared stiff and could only stand frozen in place, letting USM do as he pleased. USM just climbed into the ventilation duct and escaped. USM wanted to eliminate all those bastards, but it seemed there was no time left. The moment the soldiers arrived, Samodu furiously berated them. Hey you idiots, what took you so long? The wreckage on this ship. They had finished identifying all the casualties. Samodu asked the acting captain of the medical team, is anyone still alive? Right now no one survived except for the acting captain. Wave of the research team. Everyone else is dead. Samodu was extremely surprised. What did you say? Senior researcher, Wave is not dead. Wave is currently in the recovery room. But his senses of sight, smell, and taste have been permanently damaged. Even if he survives, he will have to live in a cultivation tube forever. The medical team's representative wants to see Modu surrender to the hijackers. Stop talking nonsense and do your job properly. Then Samodu turned and stormed off looking furious. He gritted his teeth. Damn it, just how many people died? The captains of the research, engineering, medical, culinary navigation, and risk management teams was considering abandoning everything and running. The soldiers were still in the process of clearing the bodies, and discovered a very unusual gun. It was the captain's gun. Samodu ordered them to bring it to him. Looking at the gun, its remaining energy level was 60%. Although it is a bit old, it is still good for self-defense. I cannot trust anyone. I have to look out for myself, Samodu thought. It was filled with bitterness, that the damn monster was still alive and well. Somewhere on this ship and the sky pirates would arrive the day after tomorrow. He was at a loss, not knowing what he should do next. Even if someone reported this issue, it would take some time to get a response. Samodu's position as captain was merely a title, so USM could ignore him. Now it was time to expand the nest. Currently, USM could build nests in a total of 3 locations. Along with the nest in the cold room, he could make 2 more. USM thinks he can cut off their supply by contaminating the food. Next is the armory where the plasma rifle is kept. That weapon can finish USM, so it must be dealt with immediately. But the problem is only 10% of those samples grant traits to prepare for a confrontation with the space pirates or other potential rivals. As for the plasma rifle, I'll just steal it. The young man begins to take action. Initially, he didn't plan to use that gun, but Anon's words still bothered USM. But he might come with the space pirates and hide among them. As he passed this room, number 26 greeted USM. From the sound of its voice, number 26 seemed to be in a very good mood today. It seems they aren't experimenting with drugs today. USM starts a conversation with number 26. You seem happy, it replied. Yeah, it doesn't hurt. To be frank, USM understood perfectly well. In this situation, they can't conduct experiments. Everyone must be hiding in their rooms. Number 26 asked what was going on, and USM replied that he was waiting. USM had waited for about 30 minutes, but no one came, so it was confirmed. There was no need to sneak around anymore. He started breaking the vent cover and jumped out. Now I can meet number 26 directly. It's been a long time. USM was thinking about whether to take it with him. Because of its traits, the bubble slime is not a picky eater and is immune to toxins, so keeping it in the nest or taking it along are both fine. The young man wanted to take it outside the lab. After hearing that, number 26 replied, Okay, I want to go out. USM immediately flew towards the test tube to break it, then yelled for number 26 to follow. After being saved, it kept saying thank you. USM put number 26 down and told it to wait and see what he would do. USM was currently in the process of making a nest. He began to spew a green, slimy substance from his mouth, a sickly green. In just a few seconds, the green slime had completely covered the laboratory. It seems USM went a little overboard. He was very hungry. The young man picked up the brain that was being kept alive in the lab to fill his empty stomach. Nevertheless, USM thought that instead of the taste, he should focus on the nutrients. Number 26 thought USM was really eating with gusto. Just as he finished eating, the young man heard a noise outside. It seems they've only just decided to show up. One of them had steady footsteps. So USM guessed he was a soldier, while the other one seemed to be a researcher. So he had nothing to fear. They started to open the laboratory door. But as soon as they set foot inside, they saw a dense web of threads in the room. The soldier raised his gun defensively, and just then USM lunged out from the nest. His proboscis pierced through the soldier's body in one go, causing him to collapse dead on the floor. The only one left was the researcher. He continuously begged USM to spare his life. The young man wasn't so lenient. He just took his pincer and swung it straight at the researcher's face. Suddenly, number 26, standing behind, kept crying out in pain, and USM finally understood the problem. It was furious because the person who tortured it was right in front of it. Besides, bubble slimes can also kill people. USM stopped dealing with the man from the lab and handed him over to the bubble slime to deal with as it pleased. Then it swallowed his head whole. Now, who had the more miserable death? The soldier who died instantly, or the researcher? Because either way, they were both going to die. With this in hand, he thought the system announced that a customization template now exists, unlocking the physical enhancement template. USM felt lucky again for completing his goal, earlier than planned. The young man had consumed over 500 samples. USM was hesitating about whether he should unlock this trait right away. He decided to confirm the system's prompt. USM's body began to transform again. His leg muscles started to break apart, and his body became more robust. Number 26 witnessed this and was extremely surprised. At this immense size. So big, so big. USM explained that it was development, like a baby growing into an adult. Number 26 seemed to want to tease USM a little, so it started to change how it addressed him. Baby, you're the baby. USM felt that number 26 was really smart, and once it learned more words, now felt his body was incredibly strong and tough. It felt like he had evolved from a leopard to a rhinoceros. USM's weight had also increased significantly. His arms and legs were both covered in a layer of armor. Now USM would check his traits. The system information appeared. Species, human planet unknown, USM, status developing. Wings, chitin, exoskeleton regeneration combined, neurotoxin gland. Enhanced exoskeleton, acidic skin, enhanced legs, mimicry, saw blade, tentacles. Poisonous organs, prey sense combined, neural organ physical enhancement template. Currently, only one template is ready for specialization. Neural enhancement is at 2 out of 6. When facing specialized weapons in Armory 3, collecting templates is unlimited. For example, if USM had gotten the neural enhancement template first, the requirement to get the physical enhancement template, he would usually care more about when to acquire new templates, but in a difficult situation like this, he had to accept it. It's quite fragile, but if upgraded with physical enhancement, he can use several traits. USM can also create spores that can produce acid. In the air, it will help him fight against strong enemies. USM was heading to the cargo bay. I wonder how they'll react when they see me. Will they cry or will they run away? I'll have to go to find out. And just as expected, as soon as USM arrived, they started running in chaos. Run, that thing is coming here. Because he thought they would all die. The moment the other guy locked the door was also the moment USM. As soon as USM entered, he targeted the guy who had just locked the door. Everyone screamed, showing extreme fear. Their faces turned pale. No, save me. With his pincer, USM slaughtered all these people. The room was left filled with only blood. The blood and screams were so savage, I don't know if I should call this a death ship. The doctor's footsteps disappeared. What could have happened? Damn it, this has to be a dream. What did I do to deserve this torture? I'd rather die than keep living like this. Suddenly the researcher heard military boots, or maybe soldiers, but no, he suddenly realized it was the monster. Once again, it came for him. USM started pressing buttons and the researcher was utterly confused. He didn't know what this monster was doing now. His head felt like it was on fire. Somebody save me, please just kill me. 3 hours later, number 26 had eaten its fill. USM asked it how revenge felt, but it didn't seem to understand. The researcher was now just a skeleton, and not even a complete one at that. Number 26 thought this meal was delicious, however. He noticed it seemed to have no emotions related to revenge. It seems it hasn't learned it yet. Or it's incapable of doing so. Their previous research had focused heavily on it. It could later evolve into something like a sea devil. Sea devils live on amoeba-like bubble planets. They are 20 meters tall and hide tentacles inside their bodies. Turns out the game company just borrowed the design, which is why they look so similar. But who knows, maybe it's different here, USM thought. Number 26 seemed tired after all that, so he hoisted it onto his shoulder and continued his journey. The next expansion went very smoothly. Alright then, shall we find our next prey? Space Dog C. Goson Dlapan. Divara Gang Territory. A piercing scream erupted from the ship. A girl was being dragged away by a man and a demon, with blonde hair stepped out to stop them, demanding they let her go. But then he was shot right in the back. He collapsed and died on the floor. Kill the men, take the women. They claimed this was the creed of the Devour gang. A muscular demon was watching everything, blaming itself for working its ass off only to get such a pittance. It started shouting, "You moron, did you think I considered you a friend? For a few measly coins, what did you expect, you idiot? You fools from Megacorp are all the same." The man from Megacorp, still kneeling before him, threatened, "You bastard, the defense force has surely received the distress signal and are on their way. When they get here, you will all be executed." Despite his defiant words, the demon wasn't scared. The man added, "Letting you die would be too merciful. I'll turn you all into mutant experiments." Hearing this, the demon leader couldn't take it anymore and stood up. "Look here, Captain, you really don't know the rules of Megacorp, do you?" Who had uttered those threatening words. If mercenaries break a contract, it's a serious crime. But if there are no witnesses, then the verdict is invalid. He figured the man had wasted his breath, calling the defense force because no one will be left alive to explain what happened. But I sure do enjoy skinning pigs from Megacorp. This lion-headed monster seemed to be the leader here. He had skinned the man's face. He ordered his underlings to dispose of it as usual, and sent his subordinate with the green mohawk to fetch the garlic. Then he sat there thinking, damn, what a bunch of idiots. Turns out the garlic, by the monster's definition, was this girl. "Boss, it's good to see you. You called for me." He started questioning the girl. "You said you work around here, right? What happened?" The girl began to tremble and replied, I was supposed to meet someone through a gate today, but we suddenly lost contact." The girl stammered, "Yes sir, Captain Samuel of the Comet Research Team," and requested the disposal of a corpse. The monster grew angry. "The Samuel family is here." When the girl asked how he knew them, he replied, "They are the lords of Titan's third capital." "So whose corpse was it?" The girl replied, "It was a noble from the capital, a woman from the Sujin family. The last time they contacted us, she offered a loan of 1 million credits." After hearing the amount, the monster sighed and thought, "They're crazy, there's definitely a conspiracy afoot." The atmosphere in Megacorp has been strange lately. Rumor has it the Earthling Sujin family, but they also focus on gene modification and bioweapon research under that guise. A corpse from the Sujin family must have undergone significant modifications. The monster thought about taking the corpse and giving it to Eden. According to his calculations, this deal would surely be very profitable. But an enemy is an enemy, and money is money. He continued to ask the girl, "You said you lost contact. Was it an ambush?" The girl said she wasn't sure, and he began to laugh maniacally, haha. "So, there's a pig from Megacorp in our territory, right? I don't know who they are, but they've got guts. We'll head to Samuel's ship as soon as we clean up here. Erase all traces, be careful." They began to detonate the ship. And just like that, it exploded in the galaxy. USM had no clue what was happening. He began to establish a link and noticed they were drilling through the hull. It showed they were space dogs, in other words, a bunch of pirates. USM was very curious about whether they were stupid or smart. Any normal person would see that there was something unusual about this ship. But they were blinded by greed, just like Tomb Raiders searching for treasure. They started reporting to their monster leader boss. "We've taken the bridge, but something is strange. There's no one on board. These weird, creepy plants are growing everywhere." The monster thought his subordinate was messing with him. He was furious. "Plants? There are no plants in space. Are you kidding me?" He couldn't believe what his underling was saying. So he decided to check for himself, and would obviously chop off all their heads. USM sensed a dual heartbeat and machinery. That mutant must be the boss. He decided to check the others as well. The insectoid was secreting pheromones from its body. They were a multi-racial army. Anyway, it's NDT-0. USM was a bit worried about killing 10 of each species, but doing so would easily help him evolve. Someone who perfectly pretends to be a normal person is suspicious, so USM will keep an eye on that person. Now USM decides to go out and tells number 26 to stay put because it's very dangerous outside, then tells it to watch over a machine, because that thing is very important. USM feels that this is the only chance, the power source supplying the enemy's ship and trap them. They are very greedy, so they will protect both the research ship and the mothership. They will probably split into an assault team and a defense team. The hunt will officially begin when they split up. And as always, USM will act cautiously. He easily forced the door open, and after breaking it, USM slowly advanced inside. Turning his head to look back at the door he just broke, he wondered. It is as if they have no security system at all, which is probably explained by the fact that they are pirates. While doing so, he chuckled to himself. Maybe they would never have expected to be robbed in return. After using his search skill, USM found it is not too far from here. He seemed to have realized something while investigating every corner, so he noted that everything was fine except for the guard robots. They will alert the entire ship's AI system when they start attacking. If there is a way to avoid their line of sight without being detected, why do not I get something to eat first? So he decided to move and find food. Instead of destroying the ship's power source, he was suddenly charging like a raging bull. When USM stopped abruptly, he had noticed two people in front of him, coming towards his position. Seeing them, USM made a plan. It was a human and an insectoid. "I will deal with them right here." He slowly walked towards the human. Just as the man turned to look, USM's tail was already in front of his face. Before he could realize what was happening, his head was sent flying. When the insectoid saw this, he was completely stunned by the sight of his comrade's decapitation. He just took out his walkie-talkie and started pressing buttons. Before he could finish pressing a button, his hand was wrapped by USM's tail, preventing him from pressing further. Then USM yanked it, ripping his entire arm off. He was in so much pain that he cried and screamed. His arm and walkie-talkie fell to the ground. At this moment, USM was charging at him like a hungry beast while he was still in shock, looking at his severed arm gushing blood and screaming, "My arm." He continued to scream while USM used two arms to hold his two arms down. USM used another hand to crush his head. His last words were, "Help me." Unsurprisingly, his head was torn clean off. After finishing him, USM began to savor the insectoid's corpse. While eating, he thought to himself, just as I thought eating the flesh of other species NPCs is not a requirement for evolution. The walkie-talkie on the ground buzzed with a voice patrol team. "Report. What happened? Why are you not responding?" USM picked up the walkie-talkie and reported, "Nothing is wrong." The guy on the other end cursed angrily. "You idiot. Answer faster next time while opening the next door," he replied over the radio. The guy on the other side kept cursing. "Do not be lazy again, not wanting to attract attention," he apologized. When the call ended, the next door was also destroyed. With a wine bottle rolling under his feet, this must be the room El Chen was in earlier. Stepping inside, USM thought, so I do not have to deal with the robots then. Then he rushed to lift the mattress underneath, because it definitely had to be under here. After lifting the mattress, USM did not hesitate to use his hand and shoot acid onto the floor. The spaceship's floor melted when hit by the acid, and once it was gone, USM looked down at the nuclear reactor and thought, just as I expected, if they were human they would immediately realize something was wrong, but I am facing robots. They do not seem to be trained for unexpected situations like this. USM continued to shoot acid down at the reactor and said, so the reactor is taken care of. The hopeless cries for help from the soldiers rang out along with the sound of gunshots. Requesting backup, this is the control room, the monster is trying to break down the door. When the screen lit up, it showed dead soldiers lying everywhere, like missing arms and legs, a soldier with a severed arm. After failing to contact support, said to the remaining survivors, hearing that the blonde guy behind him asked in fear, "What about the captain? Where is the team leader?" Someone answered that question, saying the leader is dead. Meanwhile, the other soldiers were not any better. Everyone had lost a limb. The sound of the door breaking rang out. We do not get to see what happened next, but it must have been terrifying because the faces of El Chen and his underlings were completely pale as they witnessed what happened, along with cries like it broke through the door. Everyone prepare to fight, and I do not want to die. We only get to see the aftermath of the battle. And as expected, dead bodies were scattered everywhere and blood stained the entire room. On the screen, mournful cries could be heard. Damn it, it is a smoke grenade. Witnessing the recording, the boss's face turned pale as he wondered what on earth happened. There were only strange plants around, and not a single human in sight. It was like a ghost ship. He looked at his subordinate who was handling the video. We need to find out more about the attacker, so I had my subordinate rewind the footage from the ship. I see nothing but soldiers with missing limbs, or with all their limbs intact. He was terrified because no one on the ship was normal. He had no idea what they had fought. A tall, thin man, and a short, fat man appeared. When you have finished repairing the transmitter, the paths are really complicated. Tell everyone to be careful looking at the tall, thin guy and the short, fat guy, the boss remarked. That thin guy must be the ship's head of security, while that weak, fat guy must be Yusung Samuel. Seeing them arguing, El Chen concluded they must have run out of manpower. While the high-level managers are in chaos, suddenly he saw something on the screen. It made him widen his eyes. It was an image of USM attacking a soldier. USM hiding, after being discovered and shot at seeing the creature attack the soldiers on the ship. The boss's face turned pale because that was definitely an intelligent creature. An extremely dangerous and intelligent creature at that. The next images showed USM lunging to attack the ship's head of security from above. The man could not do anything but stare in fear as USM's jaws came right for his face. The terrified boss recalculated his plan. At first I was worried about how to deal with the Dujin clan. Is keeping that body intact. Then he called the girl with glasses, Man Yun. It's only now that we learn her name is Man Yun. She was frozen from witnessing such horrific things, so she just stood there dazed. He angrily shouted one more time, Man Yun. This startled her and she turned around. Yes, sir. Right? She replied with a tremble. That's right. The original plan was to meet yesterday. His face went blank when Man Yun told him, but that ship never arrived, so we had to search for it all day. After hearing her explanation, El Chen thought to himself, I already learned most things about this research ship on the way here. That creature won't know we're here. He then ordered his men, now go find and kill that creature first, then we'll look for the body. This took El Chen by surprise. The boss turned to his man and asked, What's the problem? The underling stammered as he replied, Our ship's engine has been destroyed. El Chen yelled in surprise. What? Then he angrily shouted at his underling, What do you mean it's destroyed? Wasn't it working fine just a while ago? It's completely irreparable. A large part of the nuclear reactor has been corroded by the USM's acid. El Chen slammed the table in anger. Why that son of a bitch? Then he slammed his hand down again, shattering the table in front of him. Why would that bastard dare to destroy my ship? I'll tear him to shreds. Seeing his rage terrified Man Yun. After his outburst, El Chen shouted, Man Yun. She was terrified, but still replied obediently. Yes, sir. Hearing this, El Chen angrily fired a shot right next to her and cursed. Yun was terrified. He bared his teeth threateningly. She stammered, no, I know how. The rest of you follow me. We're going to find and kill that damn monster. USM used his link to observe everything happening on the ship. He smirked as he watched it all unfold. Looks like the boss is angry now. An image of the massive research vessel appears. USM reveals that, unlike what they think, there are still survivors on this ship. The scene shifts to a room where about 4 survivors are readying themselves for a fight. He says he isn't sparing them out of mercy, because the fight will be brutal since the high-ranking officers despise pirates. But then USM rubbed his hands together smugly. Now is the time for the survivors and the pirates to fight each other fiercely. I must take advantage of this situation. Shifting his focus to Man Yun, he noted, right now there's 1 girl and 3 pirates, acting normal inside the control room. This is a good opportunity to strike, but I have a bad feeling about this. Looking closely at the girl with glasses, USM came to a conclusion. Is she Anand's master? He recalled the words of the security captain, who said while fighting him, a monster with diverse skills, meant about them having something in common. She seems like a genetically modified human, One obsessed with extending life, she must have been enhanced beyond the existence of. If she's been enhanced that much, then even if I evolve to the next stage, but it's been a long time since I've met a genetically modified human. Facing such a strong opponent is frightening, but it's also exhilarating. USM's current plan is now, I won't touch the woman I assume is named Si-hyun, and I'll deal with the pirates. While Elchin walked behind them grinding his teeth, his men were absolutely terrified, because their boss behind them was emitting an incredibly dense killing intent while grinding his teeth. He called out, "Boss." Hearing him, Elchin asked, "What is it now?" Has detected a human signal. He asked the underling, and the underling cheerfully explained, "It's pointing towards the captain's quarters, but the way there is blocked. I was thinking if we drill a hole." He glared at his subordinate. "Do you need to ask my permission every time you take a piss? All right, I'll get right on it." The others, also frightened, started drilling the wall from a distance. The underling with the scanner kicked the wall in and stepped inside, his eyes glued to the device. Too focused on the scanner, he was shot in the face. The men outside screamed when they saw him fall. "Damn it, they have guns inside. Everyone take cover." Seeing how useless his men were, Elchin barked an order that terrified them. He yelled, "Get out of the way, you idiots!" Then Elchin charged inside like a savage beast. With his mechanical arm, he smashed one soldier's head, while his normal hand caved in another's face. Then he decapitated another. The scene inside was a bloodbath. Someone inside screamed, "A monster!" We don't get to see the rest, but we can guess how tragic it was as blood splattered all over the walls. A soldier with a shattered helmet screamed in agony, his eyes wide with terror, landing next to a surviving scientist who nearly wet himself in fear. Elchin slowly approached the scientist, who screamed, "Wait, I surrender. My crew doesn't care whether you surrender or not. I can be useful to you." Hearing this, Elchin was surprised. "What? A doctor?" Elchin continued his questioning. "Then where is the captain of this ship? And what are you doing in his quarters?" The doctor fumed just thinking about it. The doctor composed himself and answered, "He used a life pod to escape." Elchin asked further, "So the captain? I don't know if he made it out, but that's all I know." Elchin looked around and thought, "This is bad. The ship has been ravaged by that monster." Remembering something, he looked at the doctor and thought, "Wait a minute, this guy might know something." He bared his teeth in a threatening grin and asked the doctor, "You're the doctor on this ship, right? Then you must know where the body is." "That body, it's in the monster's possession now." Elchin became furious again. He smashed the wall next to the doctor. "Damn it. What did that monster want with the body?" The terrified doctor replied, It eats people." Hearing that enraged him. "That means we're running out of time." Elchin turned and ordered his men. "The monster has the body. Split up into groups of 6 and find it. Report back immediately if you run into any trouble." His men received the order and quickly moved out. "Yes, boss." After ordering his men, Elche looked over at the doctor trembling on the ground and asked, "Hey doctor, you said you wanted to be a pirate, lucky for you. We're in need of a doctor too." His question made the doctor's face turn pale. "Hey, do you know anything about gene modification?" The terrified doctor replied, "What?" And we see the henchman moving around in the room. It's the doctor along with Eldon and a henchman. The doctor confidently declares, "Just leave it to me." Meanwhile, USM was using his link and heard everything that was going on. From start to finish, USM witnessed everything through the link. He commented disappointedly, "What a shame, the battle between the survivors and the pirates." Resting his chin on his hand, USM thought about it and concluded, "But with a monster, a cyborg for a boss, it's not surprising at all." Looking at the henchmen splitting into groups of 6, he made an observation about them. Deactivating the link, USM thought to himself, "It's time for me to make a move." Seeing this, number 26 excitedly jumped towards him and demanded to go. "I want to go too, sweetie." But he stopped it. "Stay here," it replied angrily. "No, I have to go and help." USM was speechless at its stubbornness. Now it was acting like a child who wants to help their dad. Looking at the angry 26, USM thought, maybe 26 needs some combat experience, even though it won't be of much help if it comes along. I can't let it get in my way either, so he decided to pick it up, placing it on his shoulder and warning it. "The enemy is very dangerous, so be careful." With 26 inches toe, USM wondered to himself, "Now where should I start?" Then, looking at the group of 6, he decided, "We should start with this group of 6. First, a henchman was down below, checking the door. The insectoid guy stood to one side complaining, "What is this? A forest? What kind of monster is this? That can grow a tree taller than a door?" The guy checking the door said to the others behind him, "Hey, we need to chop down all these trees before we can set up the drill." One of them complained upon hearing that, then used his axe to chop down a tree trunk, causing green liquid to splash everywhere. The guy standing closest, who got covered in it, yelled, "What is this?" He yelled at the guy who chopped the tree. "What the hell is this stuff?" The other guy laughed and replied, I don't know, but it looks a lot like slime. The guy who chopped the tree couldn't stop laughing. The one checking the door yelled at them both. We don't have much time. Quit messing around and get back to work. As he was mumbling before he could even finish his sentence, the guy who chopped the tree looked at his axe and was shocked to see it was melting. The axe melted into a liquid. He screamed, "What the hell is this?" The guy who got splashed with the liquid started screaming in agony, making the others turn to look at him. Half of his face had started to melt. He clutched it in agony. "My face!" After screaming, he collapsed face first into the puddle of goo that was once his face, terrifying the tree chopper. What the hell is going on? As he leaned against the wall, he heard heavy footsteps and turned around. Before he could process what was happening, USM lunged out of nowhere and impaled him with his tail. One of them screamed, "It's a monster," while another one remarked, "Why does it look so different from what we saw before?" Then the three guys in the back started unloading on USM. They shouted, "Kill it," as they fired, but it had no effect on him. Because his skin was bulletproof, USM lunged forward to attack. First he got the guy examining the door, then he got another gunman. The insectoid guy was screaming "Die die" while shooting, when 26 wrapped its body around his head. Meanwhile, 26 was suffocating the insectoid guy, with its body making him writhe in agony on the ground. But unfortunately one was still alive. He screamed for help, startling USM, who turned to look. The monster, it's here. He's talking about us. We need backup." Before USM bit his head off, splattering blood all over the wall. The walkie-talkie lay on the ground, crackling. "Where are you guys? Why aren't you responding?" He picked up the walkie-talkie and reported, "I made a mistake. Everything is fine here." The person on the other end heard this and got furious. "What are you, crazy?" The person on the other end continued to yell, "Who do you think you are messing around on the radio?" USM kept apologizing. After the person on the other end finished, he turned off the radio and decided to keep it. "I should probably keep this walkie-talkie. It could be useful as a distraction." USM picked up the guy whose head he'd bitten to examine him. "This guy is still breathing. Is it because he's a cyborg?" He remembered what the megacorporations do. They don't just offer genetic enhancements. Then USM recalled that they wanted to spread this ideology by any means necessary, whether the person consents or not. As he popped the guy's head into his mouth, USM remarked, "Those megacorporations are truly inhumane," while the head, which was still breathing, screamed for help. As he chewed on the cyborg, he wondered to himself, "This is machine, but it should be fine to eat right. Being a cyborg, it has a strong, oily taste." Suddenly a notification window popped up, startling him. "Evolution to the next stage is halfway complete. You have completed the first objective. As for the second objective, you have only—" I really didn't expect this. He stood there thinking about his impending evolution. So he couldn't stop smiling. "There are 12 cyborgs on this ship, right? If I eat all of them, I'll evolve to the next stage." "Hey sweetie, what are you so excited about?" he replied. "You wouldn't understand even if I told you." As he dashed off, USM thought to himself, everyone calls them space dogs, the harbingers of disaster. But to me, they're like Santa Claus handing out presents. A rock man was shooting and cursing. Damn it, but his fate was already sealed. As USM grabbed his head and ripped it clean off. After grabbing his head, USM held it in his hand and looked on. Hadn't fallen down yet, and was still standing as blood spurted from its neck. Looking at the corpses of the cyborgs, he said regretfully, "What a shame." Looking at one of the legs, USM said, "Just like the one in the armory, it was corroded by acid. This one was also corroded, only a pair of legs is left." But USM picked it up anyway, thinking, maybe I should try eating it to find out. He popped it in his mouth, chewed, and immediately spat it out. "It's not giving me any effects at all." He looked over at 26, who was suffocating a cyborg. He thought maybe it's because I didn't kill it personally. Then USM impaled the guy. 26 was trying to suffocate with his tail. Seeing this, it asked, "Are you hungry, sweetie?" He explained, "I have to personally kill the ones that look like this." As he picked up the corpse, he blamed himself. "I didn't mean to hurt 26's feelings like that. But I had no other choice." Suddenly, a voice came from that guy's hand. "All survivors, report in immediately. We are in the control room. We are still trying to handle everything," it continued to announce. "There's a lot to take in the cargo bay. Boss, the restaurant area is like a battlefield. All the food is spoiled." Meanwhile, USM replied while chewing on the cyborg, "I'm here looking for ammunition." Hearing that, the guy asked again, "What about the guys checking the lab? Why aren't they answering?" "Yes, everything is fine in the lab." The guy on the other end was suspicious. "Wait a minute, you're not the guy in charge of responding." Hearing that, USM broke into a cold sweat and tried to make an excuse. "Well, he's somewhere else preparing for an attack." The other guy heard that and said, "All right." Turning off the radio, he remarked that these pirates were quite systematic. "Even though he's a freak, I still have to keep an eye on him. Anyway, I never expected to be friends with a bubble amoeba. Gamers would be absolutely astonished. They knew about this. because amoebas are solitary creatures, and they're not the friendly type either. He assessed the game at this point. This is getting harder than the previous game. It makes me a bit worried, but also excited. After hearing his subordinate's report, El Chen thought, why do I suspect something bad has happened? I'm very meticulous about reports because I used to be in the military. Why did that guy know what was going on when he was the one who broke the rules, and made such a mistake? Looking at the radio, he came to a conclusion. My wild Genta instincts are telling me that, hey, it's the boss. The guys in the lab are acting suspiciously now. All of you, converge on the lab for me. They heard and replied, yes, boss. No one, absolutely no one, is allowed to touch my ship. He made a plan. I'll find an escape route and plant a bomb in the engine room. This must be a nuclear reactor, so a small bomb should be enough to take care of it. He thought about what he'd do after escaping safely. I'll use a remote control to make the ship explode along with that damn monster. El Chen was ruthless enough to even consider that the ones I leave behind will also die, but who cares? There are plenty of people out there who want to be pirates. As he walked, he thought, I only need to bring men. You've encountered this monster before, right? So you must know its weaknesses, right? The doctor quietly said no. El Chen angrily bared his teeth and yelled, what? The subordinate threatened. Speak properly. He trembled and said, I'm telling the truth. El Chen pondered. I know this guy is a coward and is terrified of me, but that's all he's saying? But he considered, this means the doctor is more afraid of the monster than he is of me. Meanwhile, the subordinate was threatening the doctor. Are you kidding me? I'll kill you right now. The terrified doctor said, it moves like a ghost. Hearing that, the boss was surprised. What? A ghost? We didn't even know someone was missing until it was too late. El Chen said, maybe it's because you guys are just too stupid. The frightened doctor explained further. Then he added tearfully, but it still managed to evade all of them and kill people. If it's not a ghost, then what do you call it? Hearing his fearful tone, El Chen remarked, it seems this guy is telling the truth, even though it sounds ridiculous. I need to gather all my men. Then he called on the radio. It's the boss. Change of plans. His new plan was, all of you, gather in one place now. Then form a large group before we move to the lab. Now, all of you, gather at. Hearing this, USM assessed, this boss is pretty smart. Because he's a monster? A hybrid of a beastman and a cyborg. He assessed that it was probably too late. He saw the pirates gathering in one place. USM noted that they were complaining as they moved, but they still headed to the location the boss called for. He decided he needed to change his attack method. Then USM connected the threads in his head to the hive in front of him. He executed the hive system skill by connecting his nerves to the hive. USM knew that his consciousness would expand through the branches. When I use this skill, my consciousness will exist wherever there are branches. Then, he would be able to take full control of the ship. Now, the activation process was complete. Now, they are in my belly. The shaking trees confused the pirates. Then he activated the paralyzing pollen. When the subordinates were exposed, they had trouble breathing, foamed at the mouth, and then collapsed. When it was done, USM mused, I'll get better at using this hive system skill when I evolve. I just tried it out of curiosity, but it actually worked. After using the skill, USM clutched his head. I'm so tired, my head hurts and I'm dizzy. Then he turned and said, now I'm really hungry. It's probably because I used too much energy just now. 26 jumped to USM and asked, where are you going? He replied, I'm starving. Let's go eat. It also agreed. Okay, USM assessed. It seems the pirates have abandoned their comrades. As he ate, he happily thought, this is good too. I don't want to fight while I'm eating. 26 also happily gnawed on an arm. After finishing the buffet, USM looked at the notification panel and felt happy because 5 of the 7 guys I just ate were cyborgs. He needed to eat 2 more cyborgs to be able to evolve. Seeing this, USM was happy. So I've eaten 8 cyborgs already. Now I just need 2 more. Sooner or later I'll be able to evolve. He left and said, 5 of them have left. He looked at a room. USM said, they fled towards the training room. I wonder why they ran there. And I'm confident in betting that they thought, because the training room has more space than other rooms. But, he regretted to say, the only problem is that the previous group thought the same thing. He put his ear to the wall, listened, and smiled. I can feel the pheromones, and their breath through this door. I bet they're shocked by the scene inside. He instructed 26, hey, it's dangerous inside, so hold my hand. Said, I've already dealt with more than 20 people in there. As the door broke, he charged in. thinking that killing 5 more people wouldn't make a difference. Inside, a guy was continuously firing at USM, but he just kept charging forward, unharmed. Then he stopped and pulled something out. This damn thing. Then he turned it on, and it was a lightsaber. As he raised the sword, he threatened, "Do you have any idea who I am? I'm the second in command of this pirate crew, with power over thousands, and answering to only one." After saying that, he swung the sword wildly and continued to challenge me. "I dare you to touch me," USM stared. Not because of his words, but because of the lightsaber. This thing could actually harm me. If the user is a weakling, it's useless. And my predatory instincts told me, so it makes sense for this pirate to act like this. He slashed at him and said, "How dare you?" But he easily dodged it and then punched the man. The punch sent him flying several feet, slamming into a wall and leaving a hole in his body as he lay on the ground. He still raised his sword and cursed defiantly, "Son of a bitch." Looking at him, USM remarked, "I didn't expect this guy to be so persistent. This is the second persistent enemy I've met after Anon." Then he started chewing on the man's head and said, "I'll kill him before he has to suffer any more pain." After he finished chewing his head, the man collapsed. While eating him, USM said, "Now there are only 4 left. I bet they're hiding in the locker room." He looked at it and said, "What?" USM wondered. "Humanity." The notification read, "Successfully absorb human genes. Do you wish to acquire it?" While eating, he said, "What is humanity? It sounds complicated for something with such a simple name." USM said, "I'm not in a position to be picky. There are thousands of traits in the universe, but not all of them are advantageous." He was granted double the strength of a normal person but lost his self-control. Looking at the notification, USM thought, some things are more harmful than beneficial. After all, this dystopian world is already full of evil things. USM thought of those who capture people and turn them into cyborgs. Thinking about this, he felt scared. The human world is run by them, so this thing probably isn't any good either. He looked at the half-eaten leg. He thought, if it gives me human emotions, it will make me weaker. USM turned to choose no, thinking it was a potential danger. USM was surprised. What? Is my instinct telling me to reconsider? Is this really that important? He was confused. My instinct has never told me to do anything dangerous, so I can trust it. USM made his decision and pressed yes. Alright, I guess I'll choose it. A flash of light appeared, and then he was stunned because nothing happened. USM looked at the notification again, completely confused. Nothing's different. Or am I supposed to be feeling extremely guilty? Looking at the info panel, he learned that it seems humanity is a type of mental power. Now I just need 3 more. Then I can upgrade my physical strength. He clicked to read the details of the humanity skill. He wondered, let's see the skill description for humanity. The description of humanity was, humanity will help you make the right decisions. P.S. Make your choices count. After dealing with everything, he turned and said, let's just assume I got a new skill to make things simple. He saw 26 hopping towards him. USM asked it what was wrong. It worriedly asked, you were motionless for so long. You were acting strange. He placed it on his shoulder, thinking, it's not the one who should be worried right now. Then USM picked up the lightsaber. It lit up, and his eyes gleamed as he drooled, sensing something. He made it clear that he had no intention of letting anyone escape. The voice belonged to a fierce-looking man, but he was currently in a state of panic. Shaking uncontrollably, he wondered if he would be the next one. He was so scared he broke out in a cold sweat, his eyes filled with despair and questions. Compared to the others, I'm a pretty decent person. What did I do to deserve this? Suddenly, a loud noise came from outside. The man turned his head, revealing a mask that covered half his face. He flinched in fear. The loud noise grew closer, causing the man to hide behind a door, gun in hand. The endless screams of pain and despair terrified him. His body trembled as he thought, Leader Zubaka, please be with me. USM was getting closer. The man hiding behind the door panted and begged. Anxiously, he thought, when this is over, I'll run away. He peeked through the crack in the door with a horrified expression, thinking, and I'll go to the Star Alliance. Then no one, not even Drava Catel, will be able to. Suddenly, he was stabbed. His bloodshot eyes widened in extreme pain. The man was stabbed in the stomach, bleeding profusely. He cried out in immense pain and fear. USM had found him. He suddenly charged, fiercely smashing through the door. He opened his mouth wide, ready to swallow the man whole. The man only had time for a desperate scream. No. The space was dark and bloody. Only the man's screams remained. His blood-stained mask fell to the ground. USM was using his sharp teeth to tear the man apart, blood splattering everywhere. As he chewed, he thought, that's 11 cyborgs. I just need one more. He thought, imagining a woman sitting, the one I want to avoid is in that room. The one with altered genes who I believe belongs to the Zujin clan. Then, as he moved with heavy steps, he thought, I should take care of the leader first. Suddenly, USM was hit by a powerful blast, knocking him down. A voice echoed, there you are, you bastard. He let out a piercing scream, trying to stabilize his body. A monster, a huge, ferocious-looking Elden shouted, you not only killed my men. USM was not worried at all, thinking, I didn't expect him to find me first. A mutton has many useful genes. I should supplement my own genetic essence, before going to the control room. Then he glanced at the worried doctor. He thought in panic, and there's even the medical team captain. For now, I don't think he'll side with the pirates. He quickly regenerated his body to fight Elden, telling himself, it's fine, he'll end up in my stomach anyway. Then USM spoke to number 26, who was clinging to his back. Go hide, it replied, trembling, I'm scared, be careful. Number 26 quickly jumped away. He comforted it, don't worry. It replied, okay. It quickly flew into the moss covering the wall, at high speed, making a considerable noise. In the dark space, it didn't forget to remind USM, be careful. As USM charged at Elden, he thought, I have to admit, he's more fearsome than I thought. From his perspective, the guy was huge and powerful. He continued his train of thought, he's massive and over 3 meters tall. Some might say I don't stand a chance. He gave a cold, provocative smile, thinking, because he is an enhanced Hulk mutton. On the screen, the confrontation between USM and El Chen is displayed. Suddenly, 2 voices are heard. We should get going too. Do you want the boss to smash your head in? That was the voice of 2 robots. They were standing in front of the monitor, talking. The blue-haired one spoke. I was so excited thinking about splitting the work, he said, turning his head. He looked at the woman focused on her computer and asked, Hey Man Yoon, how much longer? The woman replied, almost done. He suddenly became enraged. Man Yoon, terrified, immediately said, it's a bit old, but it's the AI from the Megacode warship, so it's not easy, which made the robot furiously shout, hey, speak plainly. After saying that, he turned away and urged, hurry up so we can go help the boss. Hearing that, she said, all right. Then she leaned back in her chair, still typing on the computer. Her gaze became distant as she continued to muse. The monster cleverly hid itself with a smokescreen, but it can't fool me and my clairvoyance. Then she looked at the data-filled spreadsheet. She thought, it swept through the lab and took all the biological gene samples. This thing is too smart. Her hand transformed into a terrifying, monstrous claw, her cold eyes glinting behind her glasses. She thought, it might be a monster that absorbs genes to evolve. In that case, it's just like me. Then she looked at the monster's image on the screen, thinking, that makes sense. El Chen has no chance of winning. The monster was being controlled like a puppet. Her train of thought continued. He's nothing more than a monster, empowered by another's will. He's a miserable creature, who doesn't even know what he's made of. It was then that she realized everything. A sinister, excited smile spread across her face as she thought, I'm so sick of that old man. As she walked towards the 2 robots, she thought, these pirates have outlived their usefulness to me. Seeing her approach, the blue-haired robot asked, Man-un, are you done yet? The other robot chimed in. She menacingly took off her glasses. Man-un has many names. Then, a sword shot out from her hand. She transformed into a powerful warrior. The enemies of Megacorp called her the Vortex Witch, but her clan called her the Shadow and feared her. The head of the clan, Akira Zujin, called her White Code. And the man who was once her father called her Si Hyun. Cutting back to the fight between USM and El Chen, his feet were planting firmly. He suddenly launched into the air, unleashing a powerful strike. Luckily, USM dodged just in time. His slash missed its mark. Not one to back down, USM countered with a powerful kick. Aiming for his stomach, his sharp claws struck El Chen's iron waistguard. The impact took him by surprise. The battle raged on, intense and fierce. But currently, El Chen had the upper hand, pushing USM back and knocking him off balance. His tail suddenly brushed against something, and an electric current shot through his body, causing him to scream in pain. He grew worried, thinking his superpower was his stinger organ. He had to face El Chen while enduring the pain from the current. Then, USM's knees buckled. A cold glint appeared in his eyes as his thoughts continued. Does he think I'm a combat android? He's wrong. But compared to a weapon, the NDT-0. Suddenly, El Chen spoke. So you're not a new weapon created by the Union? Startled, USM looked back at him. El Chen continued. You understand what I'm saying, don't you? Then he pulled aside his ear, revealing a terrifying switch. The red switch near his ear stunned USM. The berserker switch, he said, as if victory was already his. Pointing to the switch, he declared, I've placed a bomb in the nuclear reactor. If you kill me, the entire ship will be destroyed, and everyone will die. He was completely shocked. A bomb? He thought. Seeing the doctor's horrified expression, he went silent. The doctor's reaction proves he's not lying. The question is whether he'll actually detonate it. He observed the monster again, thinking, he seems to value his own life a lot. He's intelligent, has a superior physique, and is arrogant. Nothing can suppress his will to survive. Suddenly, he pressed the red button by his ear, activating it. The cells in the monster's body began to deform, preparing to burst. The cells turned deep red, contracting violently in preparation for a massive burst. He roared in agony, blood filling his mouth as his muscles expanded. His face also transformed, taking on a monstrous appearance. USM stood there stunned, thinking, this guy is seriously ugly. He's more than just genetically enhanced. Then El Chen stomped hard on the ground. He charged furiously toward USM, who just stood there, analyzing the situation. Looking at this form, he must have been implanted with the genes of a bull, a mountain cleaver, also known as a rock dragon because of its tough hide. He appeared before USM in an instant and attacked with his claws. But USM ducked and dodged just in time, countering with a tail strike to his neck. USM attacked with his tail, mindful of the bomb, but it was useless. USM's tail wasn't sharp enough to pierce his skin, which only enraged him further. He brought his fist down hard on USM's head, but luckily, he was okay. USM quickly turned to flee. Seeing this, the creature yelled, "You insect!" Now, they stared each other down as USM assessed the monster. He thought, if it weren't for my rock-hard head, I'd be a goner. I wonder why he mentioned the bomb. And this is what he's aiming for. Looking at him, USM said, "So you want to play now, huh? Right?" El Chen told him, "Your attacks have no effect. I don't get why he's revealing his weakness. If you don't aim for my heart, you won't be able to damage me anywhere else," he further explained. "The armor around my arms and legs is too tough for anything to cut through." Thought, I'll win if I can just pierce him anywhere on his body. He charged at him again. USM stood his ground, thinking, but too bad for him, my tail isn't my only weapon. He threw a powerful punch, but USM dodged it swiftly. After dodging, USM ran off, with the creature in hot pursuit. As he ran, he thought, my claws and teeth are poisonous. USM thought, a freak like him has a fatal weakness. Now I just need to stall until it appears. The monster smashed through the wall and charged in. His plan was clear. This is the room where I was born. There's no better place to stall for time. El Chen smashed through the walls, roaring as he ran. He charged through, smashing everything and sending cockroaches scattering. As he ran, USM impaled one with his tail. He ate it to recover his energy, thinking, I'm no match for that monster's strength. Despite having incredible strength and speed, also burned through stamina extremely quickly, so he had to take short pauses between his actions. Hiding and observing him, Usum had a plan. If he provoked him into exhausting all his stamina, whether he wanted it to or not, and Usum knew that was his only chance. So I have to be patient. El Chen continued his rampage everywhere. While rampaging, he angrily yelled, "Where are you hiding, you insect?" Standing on a high container and looking down, Usum thought, almost there, I must be patient. Recalling something, he wondered, wait a minute, this guy has two hearts. I wonder which one is the mechanical heart. Then he recalled the anatomy of monsters like him. Monsters like him have their main heart on the left, so the mechanical one is probably on the right. But on second thought, Usum realized this guy was intelligent, so he couldn't just make a blind guess. But Usum jumped away just in time and the chase began again. With his smaller frame compared to El Chen's current form, Usum leaped across the containers to escape. El Chen raged, "Running again, you coward." Suddenly, a red aura surrounded El Chen. He stopped, panting heavily. Usum assessed that the genetic modification must have helped reduce his weakness. Then El Chen got back up and continued his rampage. Usum noted that it probably allowed him to keep moving. Normally he would be completely immobilized, but now his speed was only reduced. The need to rest, so Usum jumped in to attack from behind. But El Chen sensed it, turned around and attacked, screaming die. Despite the quick reaction, Usum still managed to dodge the attack and landed right in front of El Chen. He roared angrily and slammed his fist towards Usum, but Usum used his head to block the blow. Usum calmly thought, this is my chance, and used his other hand to pull out his laser sword. He then slashed at El Chen's arm, making him yell in surprise, what the hell is this? Seeing that a piece of his armor had been stripped away, Uzum lunged forward and bit into the opening. This made Elchin scream in pain. He threw Uzum aside and angrily demanded. Suddenly he froze, unable to move. Seeing this, Uzum grinned, baring his teeth. His bitten arm started to tremble. He was shocked, impossible. Then his legs also began to shake. He screamed in despair, "No, no." Seeing him paralyzed, Uzum leaped onto his chest. He looked down and thought this paralysis effect isn't as potent as it is on a human body. The poison must have spread through his whole body by now. Lying on the ground, Elchin whispered helplessly, "Help me." Unconcerned, Uzum used his tail to stab into his chest. It caused Elchin immense pain, tearing open his chest and splattering blood everywhere. After breaking through the armor on his chest, Uzum was stunned. Of course it's here. It turned out Uzum had stabbed his mechanical heart. Standing there, he observed, so the mechanical heart really was his secondary heart on the right. A countdown begins the moment it sustains an impact. Knowing the second heart was meant to suppress the genetic transformation, he was confused. He knew he would also die if his mechanical heart was attacked. Uzum stood there trying to remove the device from his heart, thinking it would take a long time, and absorb his power. Suddenly the voice of 26 called out, "My love." Unconcerned, Uzum was still trying to remove the device from his heart. He asked, "I told you to hide." It jumped closer and warned, "My love, we're in big trouble." Hearing this, Uzum turned and asked 26 what was wrong. A crystal-clear image of him, and 26 being killed by an approaching flame, flashed in his mind. Stunned, Uzum yelled, "Damn it," and dashed towards 26. He scooped 26 up and quickly got away just before the flame reached their spot. A pair of high heels came into view. The woman complained what had escaped. It was the girl with the glasses in her transformed state. She wondered a future prediction skill. Standing aside while holding 26, Uzum thought, "Damn it, it's Ju-yoon. I was planning to deal with her last, but I didn't expect her to come find me." Looking at the gleaming sword that grew from her arm, he noted, "I'm sure her genetic code was created from high-level organisms." Watching her charge menacingly, he noted that moreover she exhibited many other genetic traits. There was no way he could defeat her. Ju-yoon's face looked absolutely insane. Uzum recalled the vision from earlier. Perhaps his body was telling him not to confront this creature. At that moment, she was already standing over Elchin, who was on the verge of death. Uzum decided to fall back, needing to retreat, to form a new plan. Lying trembling on the ground, he called her name, Ju-yoon. She praised him, "You did well." Then she plunged her sword straight into his heart. He screamed in agony as he was stabbed. She said, "I can't let you escape." Meanwhile, Uzum watched everything unfold from his hiding spot. He held 26 inches, his hands genuinely terrified. "Damn it, what do I do now?" Uzum silently retreated with 26, thinking the bomb must have been activated when she stabbed him. He knew that attacking her now would be suicide. "I need time to observe and gather information on the enemy." But what was that look in her eyes? It was Ju-yoon's voice. She had appeared in front of Uzum without him noticing. "But in return, you'll have to work for me," she said with a contemptuous smile. "To be blunt, I want you to be my pet." Ju-yoon explained to Uzum, "You're just like me, a creature dependent on genetic codes. I'm the perfect master for you," she smiled, proposing, "so join me." He stood there stunned. What? Someone as formidable as Ju-yoon wants me as her slave. The two stood staring at each other next to Elchin's corpse. Uzum was still baffled by Ju-yoon's offer. He thought to himself, she's not lying, but she also had no reason to lie. He looked at the sword in her hand. Uzum noted that with a sword like that, even his own carapace couldn't block it. Meanwhile, 26 called out, "Hey, my love." Uzum slowly started walking towards Ju-yoon, thinking, maybe following her is the right decision. Seeing him slowly approach, she grinned. She said, "Good boy. You know how to make the right decision." In Uzum's hand, 26 continuously patted his head. "Don't be afraid, I'm here." His heart felt heavy as he walked. Ju-yoon probably didn't know the reason he liked the amorph species. He remembered his human days when he was obsessed with amorphs. She could never know why he was so fascinated by this supposedly useless character, or why the other players called him Moth Park. He explained it was for one simple reason. With the amorph based on your choices, you could develop your powers independently. As he slowly approached Ju-yoon, Uzum thought, those are the reasons I love the amorph species so much. Uzum bowed his head before her, surprising 26. "My love." She reached out to pat his head. "Good boy. Such a good puppy." But she was taken by surprise when Uzum suddenly shot acid in her face. He fled, telling 26 to hold on tight, to which it complied. She clutched her face in pain, but a smile was still visible. "So this is your choice." Ju-yoon laughed maniacally, unleashing a blast of fire and screaming, "So that's how it is. You want to play a game, huh?" Meanwhile, USM ran while dodging the flames, but he still held on tightly to 26 as the room where they had just been standing collapsed. As he ran, he thought, she's so strong. She's definitely stronger than me. This is the toughest opponent since I became an Amov, but USM remembered. But I've fought against extremely formidable opponents before, and I've always won. That fighting isn't just about using strength. Inside the rubble of the room, a mechanical arm rose up. It was Eldon. He wasn't dead yet. He sat up angrily, thinking about those bastards and how Jujin had stabbed him. He was furious. She dared to betray me. I'll make her kneel and beg for mercy. Only now do we learn the name of this Elvin. At this point, Elvin was completely exhausted. His body was covered in wounds, causing him to tremble and barely able to stand. Elchin collapsed to his knees, only able to support himself with one hand. Meanwhile, USM was following the trail Elchin left behind. Number 26 sensed his pain and asked, "Your legs hurt, don't they?" He replied softly, "They're both still fine." While pursuing the enemy, USM started thinking, Sihyun's eyes have the ability to see through things. A surprise attack won't be effective. He recalled Sihyun's dangerous gaze from that time. Even when I hide, she can find me instantly. Besides those eyes, the image of a large machine he had seen before came to mind. I'm on a tight schedule, so delaying things won't do me any good, and it seemed they were all there to deal with him. She must realize that my main concern now is the bomb. Perhaps she's expecting me to try and escape. She will probably block my path to the engine room. That must be Sihyun's strategy. In other words, it's a standard tactic. At this moment, he was still in pursuit of the human. She's using the same strategy I used against the pirates. It's like fighting another player. USM kept searching through every nook and cranny he could find. He seemed to have several problems with his plan. The issue was his attack capability. And the defensive capabilities of this body are much lower than theirs. There must be another reason. Suddenly, USM realized something. Ah, I've got it. He remembered a strange vial of chemicals on a shelf. That thing from the lab. If I can find it, I might be able to change the situation. Jujin skillfully attacked him with fire. The technique she used was called sword dance. My current body has no resistance to psychic powers. The leg that Jujin injured. If that claw was just a simple implant on Sihyun, my shell should have been able to withstand it. USM continued to move while lost in thought about that moment. I can also perform a ranged attack. The only downside is it consumes a lot of energy. It seemed he had arrived at the lab as broken test tubes were scattered everywhere. I have to finish her off within the time limit. There's no time to worry about how much energy it will use. Suddenly he paused as if he had found what he was looking for. Wait a moment. He put number 26 down and went ahead. Where are you going? I need to get something. USM began to rummage through every container he could see, trying to find the vial. I swear it was somewhere around here. Suddenly he stopped. It looked like he found the vial. Here it is. The chemical vial appeared in front of him, much to his delight. In the game, using this only gives you a power-up notification. I wonder what it's like in real life. USM reached out and grabbed the chemical vial without hesitation. I'll have to find out for myself. Suddenly, number 26 called out to him unexpectedly. He immediately turned his head but didn't see anything out of the ordinary. USM asked what's wrong. Seeing number 26 acting strange made him suspicious. Why is it acting like that? After a moment, he paid no more attention to number 26. He opened the vial. Normally, I would wait for his response. USM's body instantly began to mutate. The sound of bones cracking and piling on top of each other was heard. Purple veins also appeared all over his body. He felt excruciating pain. It made him crush the empty vial in his hand. His body then began to emit a purple aura, making the atmosphere even more ominous. The pain continued to run through his body, causing USM to scream out, "It's so painful." The muscles in his legs started to grow at a terrifying rate. A massive aura was also being emitted from him, so much so that it covered the entire area. After a moment, the muscles all over his body grew exponentially, causing his shell to be completely unable to withstand the horrific stretching. I can't faint now. After a moment, numerous tentacles appeared and USM's new form became more distinct. He had completely overcome the excruciating pain to break free from his old husk. His new form was even more terrifying, as it was no longer merely a monster. Made number 26 jump for joy like a puppy. It's amazing seeing this new form. He couldn't help but praise it, it's so big. He could feel a new surge of power. It made USM feel stronger than ever before. It worked. Through the evolution process, via the evolution tab. It seems like many of his skills and powers have been merged together. I'm noticing some changes in my traits. The reinforced exoskeleton has become a gigantic skeleton. He admired his new body, thinking these horns are beautiful. Should I use them to ram or stab my enemies? USM looked over his new body again, looking for new features on his new body. A moment later, he noticed his arm. There seems to be a new organ on my left arm that shoots bone spikes. Its power is comparable to a plasma gun, and I can even apply properties to it. USM stared at his arm for a moment, assessing its strength. The outer shell is covered by a shield that protects against psychic powers. Galagun, he still wanted to assess his current power. The last thing to check is the time limit. In the game, the effect of psionium lasts for 5 minutes. USM immediately got into a ready stance. His eyes turned bloodshot with a predatory gleam. Maybe it will be the same for my sensing ability. I need to drain as much of her power as possible before we fight. Immediately the ground around was covered in a web of red. 5 minutes isn't that long. I have to end this fight as fast as possible. Meanwhile, Jujin was still wandering through the hallway. Suddenly a mutated plant flew out and spat poison at Jujin. The mutant spat poison at her, but when it touched her skin, instead of burning her, Eugene revealed a look of pure ecstasy, incinerating all the mutated creatures. The attack was so powerful it blew a hole in the side of the spaceship. USM and number 26 felt the tremor. They both realized it was Eugene. She was coming. He turned to number 26 and said, "Hold on tight, I'm about to run." Number 26 nodded. "Got it." Immediately his feet tore across the ground. As he ran, he couldn't help but think about the tremor from before. She must have destroyed the slime with her sword in a single slash. Maybe I should lure her to the nuclear reactor. The core is a massive sphere. It holds immense destructive power. She won't be able to fight at full strength there. USM moved quickly through the dark corridor. It doesn't matter how powerful she is. Even Jujin can't survive a nuclear explosion. He continued to close in on Jujin at high speed. Just one more sector, and after a single turn he met her. Jujin was right there waiting for him after her fight with the slime. Part of her clothes had been eaten away. "Where do you think you're going, monster?" Sensing the danger, USM threw number 26 aside to safety. Jujin launched a barrage of flame slashes at USM. Each attack slammed violently against his arm. Each fireblade cut through USM's thick armor like a sharp knife, causing him to cry out in pain. Even so, he tried to remain calm and assess the situation. "I think I was just able to see the trajectory of that attack. I wouldn't have been able to see that. Is this because of the new power?" I just received. A flicker of surprise and disbelief crossed her face. Sihyun tilted her head at USM only to see him starting to counterattack. His monstrous legs moved relentlessly, his large body shooting forward like an arrow. She swung her blade down with USM's forward momentum. He took the hit right on his shoulder, sending blood flying everywhere. Gleefully, Sihyun leaped into the air and spun, aiming a kick at him. "You seem much faster than before." USM swiftly ducked to dodge the kick. He counterattacked, swiping his sharp claws at Sihyun's face. The sound of clanging metal echoed along with her ear-splitting laughter, wrapped around her waist, catching Sihyun completely off guard. From inside USM's sharp hands, sharp metal fragments shot out, whizzing through the air. They nearly reached Sihyun's eyes, but she wasn't that weak. Sihyun quickly swung her sword, batting the metal fragments away. The battle seemed to fall into a moment of silence. All that could be heard was the sound of metal hitting the ground. The sword on Sihyun's armor slowly retracted, accompanied by her soft chuckle. Sihyun bared her teeth in a savage smile. "You've actually managed to corner me." The moment she finished speaking, a red light enveloped her body. In the blink of an eye, Sihyun's jet-black hair turned a fiery red. In a flash, a slash cut through his tail. To USM's astonishment, his tail was sliced in two, trying to endure the excruciating pain. Sihyun calmly stepped on the severed tail. She spoke contemptuously, trying to put some distance between us. Her smile became even more terrifying. "I'll show you what the red mist is. You really are interesting." USM didn't reply, silently assessing the situation. She was not an opponent he could easily face head-on. He recalled the monster known as the Red Mist. It's a predator that lives in jungle areas. Its mane can release an extremely dangerous hallucinogenic pheromone. USM looked at Sihyun's aggressive stance and thought, if she has a hallucinogenic skill like the Red Mist, I have to defeat her before the psionium's effects wear off. He finally resolved to act. Panicking now was useless. I need to calm down and wait for an opening. As soon as he thought that USM charged at Sihyun, this made her laugh loudly. Now this is getting even better. She closed in instantly, giving USM no time to react, aiming to plunge the blade growing from her wrist into his chest. But it wasn't enough to break her will. "You're starting to bore me now." Sihyun clicked her tongue upon seeing this move, feeling a bit annoyed. With a decisive swing of her sword, Sihyun deflected the metal fragments. The shattered fragments flew everywhere, clanging against her sword with a piercing sound. He understood the true nature of Sihyun's ability. She indeed has a skill that adapts to its user, but this also creates a fatal weakness. Sihyun gritted her teeth in anger. "You're really starting to piss me off. And now all I want is to kill you," USM thought for a moment, trying to find a way to defeat her. "I need to figure out how long it takes for her to recover her strength. No matter how fast she is, there must be a recovery window. USM crouched down, channeling power into his legs to build momentum. In an instant, USM's massive form appeared before her. I'm going to corner her. Number 26 began to speak slowly, as if recalling a distant memory. Some intelligent creatures called it the seabed. That place was her home. With low temperatures and extreme pressure, yet she never thought it was a bad thing. Terrifying creatures also appeared. They were too weak and always had to live in fear. But that was just the way things were, as simple as that. Then, a strange light radiated from its body, causing the other species to panic. She used it to protect her kind from the claws of predators. Of number 26 overjoyed. After a few times like that, she became the leader of her species, but her life didn't change much. Sharing food and sleeping with her kind was the best thing in her life. Suddenly, a sharp claw reached out, shattering those moments. However, the claws kidnapped number 26 along with her species. It wasn't a happily ever after. Number 26 was utterly helpless. Watching her kind get captured by those machines, she heard the desperate screams of the others. Her hopes slowly turned to despair. Suddenly, an electric current surrounded her body. The mechanical claws kidnapping number 26's friends. She wanted to protect the ones she loved, but unfortunately, that wasn't the reality. Number 26 was captured and existed in a weakened state. There was no miracle, and it was too. Number 26 realized she was imprisoned in a special glass cage. Who had failed to fulfill her duty back then, finally woke up, and found herself in a prison of foul-smelling liquid. At the bottom of the cage were some leftover cell fragments. It seemed they had been taken for experiments. There, she saw, the tragic deaths of those she was supposed to protect. Si-hyun, a researcher at the time, stood before number 26, holding her cat. No one else in this prison survived but her, despite being experimented on so much. But she still retained a shred of her will at the bottom of this hell. She prayed every day for someone, anyone, to come and help her. The red light from Si-hyun intensified, forcing USM to struggle to dodge. If they could, she would sacrifice the rest of her life to protect them. Si-hyun shouted in anger, swinging her arm to unleash another attack. I'm sick of this game. Even so, USM kept running without looking back. Suddenly, he aimed his hand behind him and fired a volley of metal shards. Si-hyun deflected the metal shards while grumbling, "You and your petty tricks." USM suddenly spun around, his long tail shooting straight towards her. She struggled to dodge the attack, but it still managed to sever a few strands of her hair. Si-hyun gritted her teeth and swung her sword, severing the tail. However, the blood that spurted from it was now drawn back towards the wound as if by a magnetic force. The wound healed, regenerating the tail. For some reason, the blood from the wound that Si-hyun had just inflicted splattered all over her. She furiously threw a punch at USM, but it was blocked by his sharp claws. USM thoughtfully assessed his opponent. I knew she had some defensive skills. Si-hyun's hair had now turned silver, and her combat suit was corroded to the point. Si-hyun seized the opportunity while his guard was down and threw a punch at his stomach. A loud thud echoed through the air along with her scream, "You beast! Daring to bite your master means you need to be taught a lesson." This punch from Si-hyun made him struggle to endure the pain. He could only groan inwardly as he used his legs to maintain his balance. He let out a low growl. "You'll need a lot more power than that to take me down." Finishing his words, he powerfully dashed towards Si-hyun at lightning speed. His claws shot out, grabbing her shoulders and arms tightly. Si-hyun screamed in surprise as USM lifted her high into the air. "What the hell?" he cursed inwardly. "Makes her body as heavy as if reinforced with armor." USM let out a loud roar. This wasn't a major concern, but it was still putting a strain on his body. "Crash! This is my chance." She gritted her teeth, turning to glare at USM angrily. "Why, you damn monster." The sword extending from Si-hyun's arm glowed with a blinding red light. USM hurriedly ducked. "This is bad," he thought. With a series of rumbles, flaming sword slashes rushed towards him, creating countless scratches and wounds of all sizes on USM's tough hide. Just a little more. The moment the slashes ended, "Now's my chance." But as he lunged to attack, Si-hyun was a step ahead and dodged. However, her expression suddenly shifted to one of fear and surprise. USM's crimson pupils glinted. The opposite wall now had small cracks from the impact. A thin wisp of smoke emerged from them, making them even larger. "I'm sorry to disappoint you." Starting from that point, the crack in the wall became a hole, a large one, creating a powerful suction. "You are no longer my target." To keep from being sucked into the hole. "Damn it!" A flash of light appeared beside her. It made Si-hyun turn her head. USM's claws were extended, ready to strike her at any moment. A hint of joy flashed across his monstrous face. "I've waited for this moment for too long," Si-hyun screamed in anger. Her voice carried a hint of desperation. "There's no escape." Veins bulged on her arms, and tears of blood streamed from her eyes. She gritted her teeth, trying to hold her ground. Seeing this, USM quietly made an assessment. She's forcing herself to activate 2 skills at once. She's pushing herself to the absolute limit when faced with death's door. Then, Si-hyun's silver hair began to turn back to black, a sign that she was running out of power. From the side, USM fired several metal shards at her. "I need to take her down before it's too late." The metal shards flew right in front of Si-hyun, right within her line of sight. Suddenly, she curled her lips into a terrifying smile. Her bared white teeth only added to her menacing look. Suddenly, number 26's voice rang out. "Leave my child alone." A sudden bolt of electricity struck Si-hyun's body, causing her to writhe in pain. She was forced to face the incoming metal shards, with no way to dodge. What the hell is this? A loud explosion erupted as red blood splattered everywhere. Si-hyun's left eye socket was now just a deep, empty hole. Her body was pulled outwards by the hole's suction. Number 26 struggled to break free from its pull. As she broke free, she shouted, "My child, help me!" USM calmly reached out and grabbed her, successfully saving her from being sucked out. He then quickly wrapped his tail tightly around Si-hyun's waist, making a resolve. As USM rushed to escape the chaotic battlefield, he gently reminded, "Don't run around, number 26. He quickly replied, "I won't," then glanced over at number 26. The physical energy that just escaped from number 26's tentacle. "I'll probably look into this later. The first thing to do now is, we need to get to that place." Si-hyun's corpse was being dragged away. USM dragged her body with one hand as he moved, panting from the earth-shattering battle just now. Looking at the hole in the wall that appeared after the fight, he thought that with a hole that big, the ship's systems wouldn't be able to hold up. He remarked that there was no one left on this ship except for the pirates. But they all ran away because they were scared of me, so USM concluded that this ship was done for. Suddenly, number 26 asked worriedly, "Hey baby, what's wrong with your hand?" Hearing that USM was also surprised. The shell armor covering his body was also cracking, starting from his hand and then the shell on his tail. As he lost the shell, USM started to smoke. He said it seems the upgrade has worn off. But luckily his body didn't feel any pain when it wore off. He lamented, "I was hoping this form would last longer." But then USM looked at Si-hyun's body and said, "But I'm about to reach a new level of power. But she must have many types of genes in her body." Grabbing Si-hyun's head, USM wondered, "If I take a bite, I'll probably get at least 3 new skills right." USM opened his mouth and prepared to chew on Si-hyun's head. Suddenly, a vision appeared, so he stopped what he was doing. USM was stunned. That's right, there's still the bomb. So he didn't eat her but carried her body, and said, "According to my hunting instincts, the bomb will go off in 5 minutes. There's not enough time to disarm it. Now I have to abandon this ship. I need to find a lifeboat and run as fast as possible." But as he ran, USM realized a problem. It would take more than 5 minutes to get there. "I'll never make it in time." As he ran, USM thought, but there's only one other way. Then he ran to the huge gun lying on the ground. USM picked up the gun from the ground. Holding it in his hands made number 26 excited. "It's so shiny, baby," he replied. "Yeah, it really is shiny." Then USM switched it to the maximum power firing mode. The firing power went from 30% to 70%. Then 100% USM used the gun to shoot at the wall and create a shortcut. "The giant ship," he told number 26. "To hold on tight to me." It replied, "Okay." Then USM jumped down from above. The hole in the ship exploded into pieces, creating debris that flew everywhere with a very loud noise. Suddenly, from USM's strong muscular arm, a long, spiky tentacle appeared. Then he used that tentacle to wrap around a crossbeam. USM used the tentacle as an anchor point to launch himself while carrying Si-hyun. The tentacle wrapped tightly around the beam for a secure grip, allowing USM to latch onto the ship. His knees touched the ship. From a distance, he looked tiny as he boarded the massive ship floating in the dark sky. When he saw the internal structure of the ship, he happily thought, "Great, we're not too far from the exit." Next, he activated the gun. The gun generated a massive blue light energy, destroying the ship's outer shell and piercing through. Once done, USM quickly threw the gun away. But he didn't forget to thank it. "Thanks for the help." He immediately jumped inside the ship. Jumping from such a height made number 26 very excited. This is fun. Seeing 2 escape pods inside, he thought one of the escape pods is open. As he walked, he thought, "At least this saves me the trouble of breaking one open." In the darkness, he instructed number 26. Scene changed to Elchin. He was covered in bloody wounds. Staggering down a dark path, he thought, "Damn it. I thought I was going to die a minute ago." He couldn't help but think angrily, "Damn it. My senses have returned, but my eyes, Elchin thought, as he recalled the earlier scene. I almost detonated the bomb while disarming it. His hands trembled as he pressed on the bomb and thought, those monsters, there's no way I'm letting them escape. I've set the bomb to go off in 10 minutes, he laughed, baring his sharp, vicious teeth. Confident of his victory, he thought to himself. By the time I get off this ship, those monsters will be turned to dust after the explosion, he thought, as he walked and glanced around. Hey, it's pretty quiet. Did any of them die, I wonder? A pirate. Looking at the man cowering in fear, he thought. Judging by his uniform, he must be Captain Yusung Samuel. I guess he was hiding because he couldn't leave the ship, then crawled out thinking it was safe. Don't come any closer. He held the gun with trembling hands, but still threatened. This is a plasma gun. Seeing that he sneered, you're going to shoot me with that. You didn't take the safety off before threatening someone. This made Captain Yusung Samuel extremely surprised and panicked, exclaiming the safety. Suddenly, Elchin rushed forward and threw a punch, making him scream in pain. The captain, Yusung Samuel, fell to the ground in pain. The gun flew far away. He taunted, what an idiot, you scared me for a second there. Plasma guns don't have a safety. Then he gave a wicked smile and pointed the gun at the captain, saying, I'd skin you alive if I had the time. He trembled, his mouth constantly begging for forgiveness. I won't do anything. Elchin pulled the trigger and didn't forget to say his last words to the captain. Farewell. Suddenly, a mysterious energy radiated out. It passed through him, surprising him greatly. He suddenly exploded into 100 pieces. When that energy passed through him, his whole body exploded, leaving only his legs behind. Blood flowed onto the floor. Seeing this, Yusung Samuel laughed loudly. Then he laughed gloatingly and said loudly, serves you right, you damn pirate. A blue light radiated from his whole body. He laughed gloatingly and said, I am invincible. Floating in the mysterious dark sky. Number 26 screamed from the impact. Seeing that, USM felt pity. Oh my God. He quickly walked over and asked, are you okay? He lifted it up and found that it had fainted. It had passed out. He laid the trembling number 26 down. He thought to himself, the impact wasn't strong enough to cause any serious injuries. It'll wake up soon. Then he looked out the door of the escape pod. Outside, debris from the exploded spaceship floated in the mysterious dark space. It's time to say goodbye to the research ship that was the foundation for my development and evolution. The rescue ship had flown away just in time before the research station exploded. Inside, USM picked up a bottle of alcohol from the floor and looked at it, wondering, did someone drink alcohol in here? Then USM tossed the bottle away and said, I have to review the recorded videos. This is giving me a headache. So he typed something on the computer in front of him and a notification appeared, replaying recorded video. The playback showed a drunk Samuel. USM was surprised. What is that, Captain Yusung? Maybe he wanted to drink his sorrows away until everything was over. But when he saw him leave the room, USM thought he probably came out to check because everything was quiet. Or that someone would come to save him. After watching everything, USM deleted all the recorded videos, because it had nothing to do with him anyway. A notification appeared after deleting the videos. The video was deleted from orientation mode to standby mode. Default settings have been applied. A planet appeared on the screen. USM noted that this is where the major corporations were built, but this place is usually full of stationed troops. He then chose another planet, while saying I should stay as far away from planets like this as possible. The nearest planet, a vast one, appeared, USM said. This planet looks good. This place is a special exchange center, a giant colony floating in space. It's a place where players go when they want to trade something. I can hunt for gene sources here. People have called me by many nicknames like a cowardly amoeba, because amoebas are born to be like this. After selecting the location, the machine announced location confirmed special exchange center. It was so fast that it threw USM backward. It further announced switching to autopilot mode. A place with many races. It's the perfect place for me to upgrade my power. Then USM got up from his seat and walked over to 26. Who would have known this little guy was a sea demon? Looking closely at 26, he remarked, maybe it's because its shape and behavior are identical, only the form and size are slightly different. Perhaps they are both the same type of sea demon, which USM knew had the deep sea fear skill. This skill causes the target to fall into extreme panic. But this skill can be used continuously, and has a much wider area of effect. He was about to pick 26 up, thinking maybe this is my chance. But then USM pulled his hand back and said no. He reassured himself, if I eat 26, there's no guarantee I'll get that skill. Besides, I've grown fond of it. USM patted 26's head and said, you are very useful to me. I will protect you even if it costs me my life. Then he looked at Sihun's corpse and said, anyway, I'll have to keep a closer eye on him. When everything was peaceful, USM began to eat Sihun's corpse. Finally, I can eat Sihun's flesh in peace. He immediately reached out his hand. His rough hand firmly gripped the corpse's leg. USM forcefully ripped the leg off, then sank his sharp teeth into it. and savored the delicious leg. Suddenly, USM's bloodshot pupils dilated. With an expression of pure satisfaction, USM exclaimed, "This is the absolute best." USM looked around and calmly continued to enjoy his meal. It was just him and the unconscious, number 26 here. "There's no one here to disturb my meal." A moment later, the system window quickly popped up with a notification. Predation effect activated. Success. Absorbed clairvoyance from Sihyun's biological traits. Do you want to apply clairvoyance? Predation effect activated. Successfully absorbed the skill. Camouflage from Sihyun's biological traits. Do you want to apply the camouflage skin skill? From Sihyun's biological traits, do you want to apply Galeron's claws? Meanwhile, on the capital planet of the Star Alliance, a robot cat stood motionless in the rain. The cat scanned its surroundings. A legion of soldiers stood in formation. Everyone solemnly saluted in unison. The image of a majestic commander appeared on the screen. "We send our respectful greetings to the great commander Chewbacca." The robot cat hurried down the corridor. "The great master Chewbacca, he is the father of all biological androids." Down the path of glory, the cat silently approached a door. Ahead, the sturdy door was tightly shut. Inside, a figure lay silently in a glass case. Suddenly, the glass case slowly opened. As it opened, a thick cloud of smoke billowed out. An arm swung up with a strange sound. Sihyun awoke with a start, eyes wide, panting heavily. Her face was dazed and silent. Feeling strange, Sihyun quietly looked down at her body. "Is this a replacement body?" Sihyun's eyes became hollow and troubled as she muttered, "I never thought I'd find myself in a situation where I'd have to." She gently stepped onto the floor, feeling like it wasn't her own body. Sihyun immediately strode towards the machine, her brows furrowed in anger as she commanded, "Show me the gene modification code of this clone." Sihyun became extremely agitated. She bit her lip tightly upon hearing the warning. Some gene codes have not yet been updated. Current genetic code information is as follows. Burning with rage, Sihyun smashed the system panel with her fist. "All the gene codes I worked so hard to collect are gone. My plan is completely ruined." Her face was murderous, her hands clenched into fists as she screamed, "Damn it, you son of a bitch. Just let me find you. I'll rip your brain out and feed it to the dogs." It was Carpenter, his eyes closed silently, enjoying the melody. Suddenly, a voice came through his earpiece. "Hey Carpenter, are you busy?" Carpenter quickly replied, "Hogwarts." Why the sudden question? The voice in the earpiece continued calmly, "A megacorp escape pod has entered Sector 7. In an annoyed tone, Carpenter cursed under his breath. "I wonder what damn thing it is this time." Another escape from the headquarters base. Carpenter quickly began a scan while listening. "I think there's something not quite right with that ship." Ever since it switched to autopilot mode, Carpenter agreed, "All right, leave it to me, I'll go check it out now." A small compact vehicle sped along the road to Sector 7. The vehicle stopped in front of the giant escape pod. Carpenter slowly stepped out of the vehicle, muttering, "Looks pretty expensive to me." He quickly pushed the door open and entered the ship. His eyes scanned the surroundings before he spoke with annoyance. "What's wrong with the power on this ship? Why is it out?" Right under his feet, Carpenter reached down to touch the slime, confused. He subconsciously blurted out, "What is this?" Suddenly, a similar amount of slime flowed down Carpenter's hand. USM suddenly appeared with a grotesque mouth full of sharp teeth, growling. "Hey, where's Carpenter?" "Carpenter, you say?" "He said he would come straight here early today," said the white man with his hands in his pockets. He kept talking about something, but he said that. The black man beside him pointed and replied, "There he is over there." Looking at the strange silhouette of the silent Carpenter, the man exclaimed, "Hey, why is he standing there like that?" A creepy feeling, the white man continued. "It seems like something's not right with him. Or is it just me who feels something's off? I think you've worked a bit late today, my friend. Are you ready to go home yet?" Carpenter replied coldly in a low voice, "I'm busy." The man behind him worriedly continued to ask, "Didn't the captain tell you anything about having to leave?" Carpenter replied indifferently without turning his head. "Tell him that I'm very busy and to just leave me alone." The white man frowned, annoyed, and gritted his teeth. "How can he talk to me like that?" The black man beside him quickly tried to mediate in a soft voice. "Just leave him be. Maybe he lost some money or something happened." At this moment, it was revealed that Carpenter was actually USM in disguise. Carpenter's footsteps became very clear in the quiet night. He calmly walked alone down the dark hallway, and gradually, smoke began to appear around him, as USM holding number 26 gradually revealed his true form. His face turned cunning with a sly smile. "I didn't think that this new." In his mind, USM was lost in his own calculations. "I know something that even the other participants, other rankers don't know about." Combining the camouflage feature I got from Sihyun and the mimicry feature gives me a simulation organ and secretes a special communication chemical. It disrupts the senses of other creatures, making them see me as the victim. The features of this ability were gradually revealed. It seems to be an invincible ability. USM contemplated another weakness of this feature. Besides that, the uncanny valley effect causes a feeling are quite long and hard to explain. With a grim and cautious expression, USM calculated everything one by one. I can still use it most effectively. A sharp blade from the palm of USM's hand appeared. Another feature I obtained is Gala's Claw. This is what I wanted most recently. USM dashed through the night, without making any sound, although I have no need to use it at the moment. Of clairvoyance will be useful for a future combination. I was very surprised when a special variation called Tentacles, the monster appeared. The tentacles at the back of my head have started to grow unexpectedly longer. USM held number 26 and stood silently for a long time. I don't know how that could have happened. The claw, I guess I have to thank Sihyun for this. USM's sharp teeth curled into an amused smile. Now I have 4 features. After evolving into a juvenile, I'll be able to obtain the superpower form. Suddenly, number 26 gently touched USM, whiningly signaling, "My dear friend, I'm about to suffocate here." Number 26 obediently listened. Alright, USM then continued alone through the alley. Anyway, I've been here dozens of times in the game, and now I'm here in reality. Port District and Entertainment District. Entertainment District and the Residential District have the lowest security. The Entertainment District is where the residents of Megacorp have their fun with rented slaves and a combat android, always patrolling to catch criminals. The Residential District is near the slums, where lower-class households live. This is a place where no one would find it strange, even if someone disappears in this area. USM nimbly jumped from building to building. Starting from the residential area should be fine. Arriving here, USM hid on the rooftop, silently observing and thinking. Now the problem is, how do I get down there? USM immediately hesitated, looking down. My 2 options are the sewer or the underground railway. Both were created at the same time when the city was built. Looking at the sewer pipes, USM calculated carefully. However, they can't get water. Are undergoing large-scale maintenance. Quickly, USM transformed into Carpenter's form. I would definitely go through the sewers. For me to use the underground railway. USM then casually walked through the crowd. The path I used to take must be somewhere around here. USM went to an alley and turned right around here. The corner of his mouth curled up as USM chuckled triumphantly. USM calmly walked toward the door. Found it. Standing before the door, USM transformed back to his original form. Only I know about this place. He gently turned the doorknob. It made a creaking sound. USM, holding number 26, gently opened the door and went inside. Like that, USM agilely moved through the darkness, an underground railway beneath the port area. This is my very own special secret path. The roar of a beast echoed through the space. At the wildlife smuggling surveillance office in the port area, everyone was working together trying to restrain the beast. Commander, I don't think we can hold on much longer. Where the hell is Team 5's support? What kind of lunatic would bring back a newborn mountain crawler? The female captain yelled angrily in his face. Lat, you crazy son of a bitch. Can't you see the situation we're in, and you want to go home? Can't you see? Everyone is being held captive by that monster, and you dare tell me you're going home? I don't work overtime. Good luck. With that, he coldly turned his back and walked away. Get back here, you selfish bastard. Scene changed to the TNC Special Commercial Center's Entertainment District. Lat quietly walked up to a machine. A place where your dreams and pleasures become reality. Welcome to the Special Entertainment Lounge. With a thoughtful expression, he pondered his choice. Which girl should I pick today? Cranky colleague of mine. He stared intently at the girl on the screen. Come to think of it, I think she's a regular here too. He had a despicable, lustful look on his face. Alright, I'll choose this one. His hands covered in fresh blood were quietly washed clean by the stream of water. Lat, covered in blood, panted with satisfaction. This was so much better than, and thought to himself, maybe I went a little too far with her. A naked girl, covered in blood, lay motionless. The establishment would soon perform the cleanup. This is exactly why I pay for this place. Thank you for using our service. The next thing I want is alcohol, a drink to end the day. Lat, carrying a bag of liquor in one hand, walked silently through the night. Suddenly he stopped, hesitant and suspicious. Standing there, he shouted angrily, "Which bastard broke all the streetlights?" His robot arm immediately produced a light. My god, this is so annoying. He grimaced and turned on the light on his arm. Lat walked on, cursing under his breath in annoyance. When will I ever get out of this awful place? Damn it, what's that weird smell? The smell was getting stronger and stronger for some reason. But I don't like this smell at all. Taking wide strides, Lat hurried straight ahead. I'd better hurry up. A voice suddenly rang out, making Lat, and spoke softly. May I ask where you're going? I'm on my way home. If I could walk with you for this stretch. Hearing this, Lat's facial muscles relaxed. He let out a sigh of relief. He turned and continued walking, not forgetting to say, "Follow me." USM quickly followed close behind. Thank you. Lat's metal legs made continuous clanking sounds. As he walked on the road, The person behind him slowly approached. That guy called out to the cyborg in front of him, "Hey." Even though he was shining a light ahead to see the way, he still replied politely. "What is it?" that guy asked the cyborg. "Are you a cyborg?" He answered, "Yeah." Hearing that the guy behind said that's good then, he angrily thought, what the hell is this? Is this guy trying to mess with me because I'm a cyborg? But when he looked behind him, he panicked. In the other person's hand was number 26 inches, its new form. The guy was terrified because he remembered what his colleague had told him. "I remember my colleague telling me about a high-level creature." The guy trembled and slowly backed away. "If I don't act now, I'll be the next victim." He turned and ran as fast as he could. I have to run." The guy dashed towards the small alley ahead. The one behind stood there and said nothing, just watched him go. Then that person transformed back into USM. He ran away. Huh. I'm not surprised why he ran. Number 26 inches, USM's hand said proudly. "Honey, he ran because he was scared of me." He said to it, "I was wondering why too." Number 26 was confused. "I don't know either." USM wondered when he saw number 26's form. The guy's heart rate shot up. Even though number 26 is a mutant, its appearance isn't that different. USM held number 26 up, looked at it closely, and wondered why that cyborg ran away. Suddenly he realized something. Wait a minute. Did he say he was a cyborg? My upgrade is about to wear off, and I'll be de-leveled to the previous evolution stage. So I need to eat a few more cyborgs to evolve. The other guy ran quickly into his house and slammed the door shut. He was home. He immediately opened a bottle of liquor and chugged it down in a few seconds. He leaned against the wall, panting. "I thought I was going to die." The cyborg moved to his bed and said, "I'll probably have to take a day off tomorrow." He jumped onto the bed, sat down, and turned on the TV. While watching TV, he complained, "Damn it, I hate this slum so much." But then he laughed out loud. "But I'm moving out soon because I've saved up enough money." Seeing the room light up, USM stood below and looked up. His eyes stared at the room with a craving look. Scene changed to the evening of the next day. After the incident with the monster tailing him, the cyborg was heading home, cursing "son of a bitch." "My boss really deserves to die," he thought angrily. "That bitch is a real piece of work. I had to work overtime so she wouldn't fire me. Thanks to her, I lost all my leisure time." Nearing his house, he looked around and said, "As for that other guy, I've already reported him to the authorities." He hid and peeked towards his house. He wondered if that guy was standing in front of his room. Seeing no one, he continued inside. But he couldn't help but feel scared. As he climbed the stairs, he said, "It should be safe up here, right? All this worrying is making me thirsty." As he was arriving at his room, he was saying, "When I get home, I have to." Before he could finish, there was a loud button-pressing sound, making him look down from above. Below, USM was pressing a button repeatedly, trembled, and made a phone call. On the other end of the line, "Hello, Sector C Police Department." Speaking, he stammered, "Hello, I think there's a monster in my residential area." Cut to USM's side. He burst into a room downstairs, opened the door, and went inside. Walking around the room, USM commented, "This room is so small, the furniture is sparse." Then he looked towards the bed. "Everything here is garbage, except for the bed. Does this guy want to sleep like a king?" USM thought while searching. "Ever since I decided to hunt the cyborg, I've done some research, or werewolves and so on." USM explained that in order to evolve, I need to eat the flesh of 6 different races and also need 4 more skills. Many players have already given up by now. Perhaps that's the right thing to do, because evolving to the next levels is too complicated. Looking towards the city district in the distance, he said happily, "In this special exchange zone there are many." And USM also reveals that the large corporations are connected to various cults, so finding 6 different races won't take much time. USM turned away and said, "Anyway, since I'm building my base here, I need to scout the surroundings. The soundproofing here isn't very good, is it? I can hear everything from the floor above and the room next door. I checked and I'm sure no one lives on this floor." Then he used his eyes to see what was outside. Looking closer, he saw that they were police, and 2 of the 3 were cyborgs. Then USM told number 26, "Let's go." Hearing that, he asked, "What's wrong, baby?" As they were leaving, USM explained to number 26, "We have a situation to resolve."